Hi, my name is Riley,
I'm Jim.
and we are two queer Australian nerds who watched most of Campaign 2 of Critical Role together, and we were having so much fun discussing the Mighty Nein animated series that we somehow convinced ourselves to make a podcast about it. So, if you're down to clown, come get nerdy with us and deep dive into this new version of the Mighty Nein story, and come and discuss our own and some fan theories about what may have changed and what could be coming next.
So obviously there's a big ginormous spoiler warning because we will be talking in detail about the animated adaptation, but also about the campaign because that's a big focus for us, is comparing the two and talking about our experiences there and sort of how they're choosing to adapt that to TV as well. So if you don't want to know anything about the campaign, click away.
And we will try
friend.
to be conscious of any like really big major story beat spoilers and say that in the moment when we're talking about them, but we don't want to have to just clarify it for every single little thing, even if it's just a minor moment in the campaign. So just forewarning.
Yeah, other thing we might touch on a little bit is we sometimes go beyond what the animated show has given us. So we're analyzing trailers. We talk a little bit about reviews and sort of what reviewers are saying and the cast and that sort of stuff. So if you don't want to know anything as well, just be warned. And that's
the
it.
intro.
Oh yeah, we have a podcast name.
Yes,
called the Archivist Sessions.
Archivist Sessions.
That's us.
Yeah.
Good name.
So, like, what were your favorite moments of these episodes? Are there any parts of it that, like, particularly stood out to you as, like, really, really awesome, like, really special? There were moments.
That's a loaded question to start with.
If we're going, like, really just, like, top-level moments that were just, like, awesome, where you're just like, oh, that is, like, a sick shot. That is, like, so much fun. The Ukuto eye-opening.
That top shot.
Such a good because it was like, because we got at the start of the episode, you get the scene from the intro, basically the critical role moment where he's like plunging into the water,
falling in the water.
But it's later on, it's during the dream when he has the eye open, and it's sort of like the parallel of like it's not there at the start and then it is there, that you're kind of like,
and then you see it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it just is so visually stunning. I think a top moment for me
visually stunning
is the whole circus sequence at the end. I think is just such a beautiful mix of chaos and also kind of sad. And I feel like you just kind of see a glimpse of what makes that whole group kind of special, right? Where they're a bunch of idiots trying to do shit and they're not all that great at it.
They're a bunch of idiots who are always in the right place at the right time somehow.
And still doing something wrong.
Still, I mean, like, they do a lot of things wrong, but then ultimately end up with the correct answer. And you're like, how?
Yes.
You didn't do anything correctly and you're still here, and I don't know how. You know what I mean?
Beautiful chaos.
Just a bunch of, what do I call them? Chuckle fucks?
Chuckle fucks. That's what we have dubbed
the Mighty Nein.
The chuckle fucks. The Australian version.
Yeah.
The mighty chuckle fucks.
The mighty chuckle fucks is crazy. But it is, I think, just in general, all three episodes are a perfect encapsulation of what makes the Mighty Nein so special. I think it is, like, we have seen, you and I have been talking about, like, the fan reaction a lot over time as well. And both of us saw a TikTok today of someone who kind of goes on to bash Vox Machina as a party. Did you see that one, or is it a different one you saw? Yeah,
no,
and
that was the one you sent me.
Yeah, that one. And the thing is that, like, I like the Mighty Nein better too. I think a lot of people do, but I think there are so many reasons for that that aren't anywhere in the realm of Vox Machina is bad. They're just a different kind of story.
Very different vibe.
Very different kind of story, very different kind of characters. And I think you also have to take into consideration the meta reasons why they probably didn't perform as well, being that, like, in terms of the campaign, we're jumping in halfway through. We are trying to learn the dynamics of the party after they've formed. And I think that just doesn't create the same kind of connection with characters that meeting them and then watching them come together does. And I think that is at least one of the factors that made the Mighty Nein special in terms of the campaign. Like, and on top of that, you know, you can go into their vibe and their dynamic as a group as well, which makes them very special as well. But it's like, that is just the baseline of, we meet them all at the beginning of their journey, and I think it's just way easier to latch onto them as characters in that way because we see their full arc. And we don't get that with Vox Machina, not in the campaign or in the show, because they're an established group when we meet them in the show. Are they not?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's just a different kind of story, and that's why it doesn't quite, you know, feel like it's hitting the same for some people, but it would be for others. It's just a personal preference. And there's also, you and I were talking about, like, the ways they have, like, kind of learnt their lessons from specifically the animated Legend of Vox Machina show. In that, like, you know, 22 minutes wasn't enough. No.
You could definitely see there's a lot of stuff that they've learnt from doing Vox Machina and then kind of bringing that across to the Mighty Nein, which I know it sort of sucks a little bit for Vox Machina because I feel like
but it's like
it had a lot of potential as well, but you know, I don't want to get too into that.
It's part of life, right? I think, like, the Legend of Vox Machina came first, not just in terms of campaign but the animated series as well, and so obviously they made choices that they decided they didn't want to make again for Mighty Nein. And I think that's just, honestly, for our benefit, because the more they do this, the better it's going to get, right? Like, if we get to a point where they want to do a Bell's Hells show, it will probably be even better. Like, it's human nature, you just learn. You will learn to do things better and better the more that you do them. And I think, honestly, like, there needs to be a little bit of forgiveness there for just the meta circumstances of both the party, the Mighty Nein, and the animated series. But part of what I think makes them also very uniquely special is how fatally flawed all of them are. Part of what makes the Mighty Nein special is, like, their dynamic together, and the design of the characters, I think, is just really clever, and it's really well displayed for the characters we meet in these 3 episodes. I'm facing the wrong direction here.
You can face any way you like, man.
I'm just going to be moving around a lot.
There's no rules to this. I've never made a podcast.
I know, I'm just trying to be, like,
visual anyway.
I'm just trying to be consistent, you know? But anyway.
That is so fair. But tailing off what you just said about the character design, that's something I've been thinking a lot about. And then one of I can't remember their exact role, but one of the character designers or one of the character layout artists has been posting like the finalized character sheets for each character, and I was having a little bit of back and forth with her about the bow one, because something I think a lot of people really liked about that is they didn't shy away from her masculinity at all, which I feel like
Yasha
happens.
too.
Yeah, Yasha as well, and that happens a lot in media, and that was something I think Vox Machina has a slightly different art style to Mighty Nein as well. That was something they did a bit more of.
It's a different vibe. I think what I haven't gone through this footage from the other night yet. I'm sure I could probably find it. But we did talk about after the show, after the first 3 episodes, talking about how what I kept saying was it feels very Game of Thronesy, was like the term I was using to describe what I felt about these 3 episodes, which was that we got 3 whole 45-minute episodes into this series without the party actually coming together at all. And I think that's really important.
They're still not really together, right?
They're not. Like, they literally just dealt, like, the circus thing happened. Ford did a little bit of fighting. Like, well, they all did a little bit of fighting in some way. but it wasn't fighting as a party. They were all there
No.
individually still, for the most part, because, Bo and Not and Caleb are together
And
already.
then Ford and Jester.
And Ford and
are
Jester,
paired
yeah.
up.
But they were still, like, I think the episode 3 in and by itself was really fun because they just really perfectly, like, crafted it to be that sort of, like, they just kept passing just within the vicinity of each other, just passing by but not quite catching each other, and that they're just getting closer and closer and closer and closer, and it culminates in that scene in the circus, and it all goes, like, to absolute shit, and you're like, what happened? And it definitely, if you're not someone who knows the narrative from campaign 2 itself, you're like, what now?
What? What happens now?
These main characters still haven't even, like, have barely interacted with each other. All they've really had is, like, Molly and Bo having a quick chat in the fighting tent, clearly not liking each other, which is going to
No, they hate each other
so
right
good.
now, which is
incredibly
a really
excited.
important what's the word? Really important dynamic in the campaign as well. They had that same sort of, like,
Just an important thing.
I've seen
for
them
Bo.
described as worsties.
Worsties.
They're like,
That's so funny. It's and I also like it because it's similar but not the same as what Bo's dynamic with Not is going to be. And one of my other favorite moments, and Caleb, but, like, one of my other favorite moments from these first 3 episodes was the, like, split second. I'm not even, it goes for, like, a whole of 2 to 3 seconds altogether. The very first, like, proper interaction between Not and Bo perfectly encapsulates
Beautiful.
the dynamic for the entire campaign. This is what they're going to be like. They will be this competitive and they will bicker with each other the whole time, and it's beautiful. It's just
amazing.
The hey, that's my horse, and then
it's beautiful. That's the only way I can describe it.
It very perfectly communicates to you that at some point in this campaign, Not is going to shoot Bo in the ass because they made a bet about who could reach the top of a tree quicker. There's no stakes aside from the bet, and Not will shoot Bo in the ass, and when I say shoot, it's not a crossbow, with a gun. Like a GUN gun.
That's right. I forgot that.
Isn't it nuts? Yeah. That was the moment I thought of when I saw that interaction in the animated series, and I was like, perfect. Just as perfect. It just describes them so beautifully and so succinctly without really needing to say much at all,
Yeah, and I think that's something they've done a really great job with across all 3 of those episodes. So episode 1, we sort of have Bo doing her investigative Sherlock shit, and then we have Caleb and Not meeting, and we get a really good sense of their dynamic as well, like right off the bat with Not and Caleb, which is a very important relationship in the campaign.
And I loved how cat-like they made Not. It was because, like, you think about it, Not is just very cat-like, full stop. She loves to collect her little trinkets, she's very fiercely defensive and protective of people she cares about, and she's also very standoffish to people she doesn't. Like, you think about what she's like with Caleb versus what she's like with Ford, what I mean?
Oh yeah. And Not becomes quite protective of Caleb, really. We see that developing in those first 3 episodes.
Spoiler alert, maternal instincts sort of coming out of her.
It's also like, there's so many layers to that as well. Like, it's maternal, but they're also kind of lovers a little bit in a weird way.
They're very, like, I think the animated series is going to probably do a little bit better of displaying them, being very codependent, because they are very codependent at the start or kind of throughout the campaign, which is, like, not always necessarily a bad thing, but, like, when there are,
sometimes it could,
it does, more often than not it'll be a bad thing. It just doesn't always need to be, but you can see, like, the ways their codependency is already going to, like, exacerbate their individual issues, like Caleb being, like, unable to sort of let go of trauma in a lot of ways. And I feel like something that we don't talk about in terms of Caleb a lot is the fact that he does victimize himself a lot. Like, he has been through trauma, don't get me wrong, but he victimizes himself so much.
He does.
and it like disables him from being able to do anything about his trauma in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And there are instances where Not will help him, not like help him get out of that kind of thing, but there are also instances where Not reinforces that victim complex in a lot of ways. And I think it's they're well designed characters, not just like apart, but as a duo. That's what's again another one of the things that makes, I think, the Mighty Nine as a party very compelling, because it's not
so many crazy, interesting dynamics, and I think there's a lot of dynamics we don't see a lot in media as well that we
what
see
we were talking
with
about
Mighty Nine.
With Bo, we tangented away from it, but Bo's design being more masculine.
Yes.
I think the fact that like they are seemingly going hard on the masculinity for both Bo and Yasha, and we know that they will end up together, having a mask butch couple. Great representation.
When does that ever happen?
Really?
I can't even think of a single one right now.
Rarely. It is so unbelievably rare, and it's like that's honestly, again, another one of the things that makes we were saying this. I think we've said this probably in a million different conversations, a million different times, a million different ways, but like there are so many things that make the Mighty Nine so unique and special that is like, I think, part of the reason that not just the campaign like really sparked and blew up for them, but this show is going to as well, because not only do they get the really like whatever special magic they found with the Mighty Nine in 2018 when they started campaign 2, whatever magic they found in those characters, they now get to like really expand upon and polish in the show. And it's just going to make it so much more, again, like emotionally compelling and engaging, but it's gonna smack so much harder. It's just gonna go so
I've heard
so
from
good, you know,
some people who have seen the whole season, and one of their biggest takeaways was just be prepared to cry like the whole time. Bring tissues. You will be emotionally destroyed, and I'm so ready for it.
Same. In saying that, do we want to like dive a little bit deeper on the episodes now? Because we're kind of inching that direction anyway.
We're like, yeah, I think
we're
so.
kind of
Might
talking
as well.
about everything. We're just listen.
There's no
we are
structure
media
here,
nerds.
actually.
There isn't. We didn't like. We've barely got a structure. We decided about a week ago that we wanted to be a nerd about the Mighty Nine series, and then someone said the word podcast, and now we're here.
And I don't know what it takes to make a podcast.
Neither.
So we're just working this out as we go.
I say neither as if I haven't studied both audio and like media and communications.
You should know.
But still neither.
You should know.
You just record something and then you post it and then you hope for the best.
You hope for the best. I will say we did have we wrote down a structure, and within the first 5 minutes it was out the window. And
that's just the nature of it.
You know what? I tried to course correct, but then I decided no, it's not worth it. Where's the fun in that?
We can also edit. And also I think like, you know, both of us, well, I mean, at least I'm ADHD. You're definitely ADHD. Autism.
Something's not right.
There's an acronym somewhere. We'll figure it out eventually. But we're the kind of like info dumping, you know, nerds where we will just kind of we'll ping back and forth off of one another a lot while we like get more and more excited about something. But I don't think that's a bad thing either, because there are so many people, especially in a fandom like Critical Role, who are like that and will enjoy us just getting like being little freaky info dump nerds, you know?
Yeah. It's the only way to I've decided, as someone who has no experience making a podcast, this is the only way to make a podcast. Anyways,
my notes at the start of like rewatching the show, because for the audience, if you care, what we did was we watched the first 3 episodes together on Wednesday night when they came out. Jim watched hilariously, look, I did use your name. You watched the first episode when it hit on YouTube, and I was like... I
did, because I couldn't wait.
I was like, I'll try to get to it, and then I didn't. So, because the world ass. But we watched it together on Wednesday night, and then we each rewatched it individually. The notes at the start, like when I started rewatching on my own, the notes at the start are like very good, and then it just gets worse and worse as it goes down. One of them is just all caps, bro, what's Sabian's problem though? Because
What is his problem?
it's not
though?
clear. It's not. I don't even
It's
know if it's clear
really
in the
not.
campaign what his fucking issue
Well, they
is.
never meet
Robbie,
him in the
what's that
campaign,
about?
right?
No, Sabian.
Like,
well,
I
they
know-
don't like meet him in the campaign.
They don't meet
but
him, but they know of him.
Ford talks about Sabian. Yeah.
But they don't actually cross paths, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. There was also.
Circling back to...
Oh yeah, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, circling back to episode 1, do we want to start there and just start yapping and see where it takes us?
Yeah, well, one of my notes for the cold open of episode 1 is how her hood stay on while falling, though. Did you notice
great
that?
Question. And I reckon the answer is art
Magic.
director was like, I
Magic.
want the hood on.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but it looks better on. And you're like...
It's
yeah,
also funny to imagine that the Volstrucker are so... Like, they want to be badass so badly that they have magic to keep their hoods on while they're, like, diving down this huge
Hood
deep
stays
hole.
on.
Hood stays on.
I
'Cause
did
it
not notice
looks
that.
epic. I don't know why I did.
Yeah.
But,
Also, what an opening.
yeah, the note I wrote was, like, setting up what the Luxon does this early in the show when we really don't know what the F the beacon is for so long in the campaign that it really does set up the stakes. What I said before about Game of Thronesy, and I think I got tangented off that fucking topic as well. All three episodes.
We circled back to it. So.
Yeah, all 3 episodes, like they, not just individually but together, felt very Game of Thronesy because we got 3 45-minute long episodes into the series, meeting many of the main characters, but none of them coming together in any major way, like except for like in like duos, right? The duos are sort of slowly coming in, but the group is in no way cohesive, right? And we're also still missing a character for the most part.
We are missing a very important character.
Where my girl Yasha?
We talked about this, having a whole segment of this podcast just titled "Where the fuck is Yasha?"
Where the fuck is Yasha?
Because where is she? Anyways, yes.
Bring her back.
Bring back our wife. She's our wife now.
But, so, let me try and actually finish this point. It feels Game of Thronesy because, like, again, we're not in it yet. We're not in the story with the Mighty Nine like we are in The Legend of Vox Machina almost immediately, right? They are setting up the stakes first. They're setting up the universe, and they're informing the audience of exactly what's at stake, how intense this is going to get, because the audience and the party throughout the campaign don't know. Like, they are genuinely just making decisions and, like, screwing around until they accidentally fall into this...
following the plot at all.
Not following the plot at all. Like, but they fall into this... Like, they really do fall into, like, a very intense, embroiled, like, political battle between 2 nations completely accidentally. And they're setting that up really cleverly in the first 3 episodes because the audience is watching all of these really high stakes get put down on the table. You know, in 2 days' time, there's going to be a war. Yeah, 2 days' time, they're going to start a war. One of the closest people to one of those warring nations, Queens, is committing treason and working with the other side. We've already gotten all this information that is non-existent in the start of the campaign. And then you start to meet the characters, it really sets up
very well done.
Exactly like how out of their depth they are. They don't know what they're doing. They're just like having a good time, and then they just accidentally trip into the craziest circumstances.
Save the world, essentially. Spoilers.
Functionally, and I think if we're getting a little bit deeper on the analysis level now, like in terms of like where we think the series is going a little bit too, I think
we should
keep that for the end.
Should touch on that, but go deep into it.
Yeah, because
there's a lot to talk about there.
I won't expand on it super much right here. Super much? That's not a word. But like I won't expand on it a bunch here. But my theory about where season 1 is going to end is going to be essentially the moment that the Mighty Nine like falls into like the plot line of the entire series. I think a lot of the first season is going to be relationship building and getting to know the
Yes.
characters, starting to like learn their dynamic and how they each interact with one another, because there's 7 of them, right? In the first, I guess 6. We don't know what's going on with Yasha yet.
We'll touch
But
on that.
yeah, but
I have thoughts.
there's 7 of them, and we're gonna I think see a lot of like the the relationship building and the dynamics, and the sort of it's not real tension, but the moment of like who's the leader between like Caleb and Ford, and all these sorts of things. I think we're gonna get to Zadash like just by the end of the season. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we reached Zadash in episode like 7 or 8.
Yeah, well, and spoilers for, I know some people don't want to know details about from interviews and reviews and stuff, but episode 8 is called The Zadash Job. Heavy spoiler warning for the Mighty Nine show, the entire campaign, because it's very hard to talk about and not talk about the campaign. And it's also very hard to analyze, I think, without talking about
the campaign. And
what
I think
we've seen in reviews and stuff as well.
And I think it's also just like we are particularly interested as people who watched the campaign, like almost in real time for the most part, how it's changed and how it will deliver the same themes in a different medium. Like I particularly am interested in that at the very least, because I'm someone who studies media and communications, and I love like storytelling and the ways that storytelling can be so unique and special, because like I'm someone that generally like doesn't enjoy fantasy. I find it very, very hard to enjoy or feel engaged with anything that is like medieval fantasy specifically. Like when I was a teenager, was forced to sit through all of the extended editions of Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray, and it was so boring. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Lord of the Rings fans. But I just could not grasp onto it. I just didn't care, because it's not a setting that I really have ever given a shit about before. It's not.
I remember you saying that,
actually. I've always found sci-fi way more engaging. Like different kind of fantasy. It's specifically medieval fantasy that I just like. I can't bored. And when Critical Role was like something that came into my purview as a thing that exists, I was like, I'm not gonna like that because I don't like like a medieval fantasy, and that is what Dungeons and Dragons is, right? And like yes, but also no. It's right.
It's kind of a bit
different.
It's kind of whatever you make it.
Yeah, and I think like something with the Mighty Nine series, the animated series specifically, they have taken it, I think, in a more of a sci-fi direction in terms of like art style.
Sci-fi.
It doesn't feel as fantasy.
It's
because
it's not
they're leaning into a lot of the tech.
Right. It's very.
Yeah, it's not medieval. I think it does really well to lend itself to the post-apocalyptic world that it is. Right. A lot of people might not know, and I think a lot of people, I forget all the time, that Exandria is post-apocalyptic. It's a post-apocalyptic setting because of the calamity. 800... Oh, no, that was a Divergence, is PD. So, like, calamity, whenever that happened, I can't remember the exact... I think it's, like, 1,000 years ago, basically. But there was there were societies, there were, like, mage societies that existed on floating cities, and they were, like, so far technically advanced that the gods were becoming concerned that they were too powerful. Like these mages wanted to take on the prime deities of Exandria, and that was when the calamity happened and basically almost wiped Exandria out. And now we're like 850 years on from that. So that's like the setting we're in, and I think not just the world building, but just the art design and the direction lends itself to like far less of a standard medieval fantasy. It's way more unique.
I guess it depends on what your definition of fantasy is, though. Which
it's such a broad term.
I'm not getting into the details of that.
It's such a broad term. But when I found out, I looked at like who was in Critical Role, and I found out that like campaign 2 had just recently started when I first started watching. I think I started watching in March of 2018. It's like 3 months into the campaign, basically. And I was like, oh, Ashley Johnson, that's awesome. Like, you know, really wanted to watch it. And I was like, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to like engage with it because it's fantasy. I'll give it a shot. Cut to however many years later, like
I can't do math, but an amount of years later. 7 years later.
Amount of years, 7 years later, and like 1,500 hours of watching Critical Role later, essentially, because I've watched both campaign 1 and 2 through twice at least, and I got most of the way through campaign 3 before the world started falling apart and I got too depressed to engage with things. But anyway, wasn't about Bell's Hells, guys. I was just sad. Anyway,
let's not get into it.
No, but the like, it's the dynamic and the when the character dynamics or the character design and the relationships and the storytelling is good enough, I can ignore the medieval fantasy aspects. It doesn't matter to me anymore because the characters are so well designed and so well played that it's engaging as hell, because you're like, oh, this is really juicy, and it's really like, it's just fascinating because when you have that many players or like that many characters and that many dynamics going on, it gives you such a range of things to look at and like compare and see the differences. Because like, you think about the way that like Bo is with Molly versus Bo is with Not, they are both like competitive and like at each other's throats a little bit, but they're different. They're quite different dynamics, and I like that complexity because it's reflective of real life.
Yeah, for sure.
It's reflective of the reality of, you know, relationships and, you know, the complexity of those sorts of dynamics. I enjoy that a lot.
I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards the Mighty Nine as well, is those very real, kind of grounded characters who are all very, very complex in different ways. And then also how those complexities kind of mesh with each other. That's what you were kind of saying about their relationships, and they're all very unique and very interesting. And there's something for everyone in there.
Exactly. Yeah, there's something for everyone. And I also think like one of the things that it's not something we can really see and analyze now because we've only got 3 episodes, but like seasons in, like 3, 4, 5, like even when it's done, we get to look back and see the ways they've evolved,
the journey,
and the ways not just they've evolved, but the ways they have influenced one another. Because it's like, you think about the ways that like, this one is going to contain big major spoilers for campaign 2 and for the show. Be warned. But the ways in which like one thing will happen in a certain relationship dynamic that will affect another relationship dynamic in the group. Example that pops to mind for me is how Molly's death like helps Bo grow to be able to hold space for Zuala for Yasha, right? I think that's really, really important plot point for Bo, because like because also like we said, they're at odds a lot of the time. They're very like, they don't like hate each other, but they don't love each other.
There's no hate there, but it's like, it's a complicated
their personalities, you know,
don't go so well together.
They're not super cooperative at the best, because they're both very hard-headed people, so they're just kind of you know, but
they're going at it.
Like Bo learning to process, not just learning to process Molly's death for herself as like, you know, I feel complicated because this guy was a fucking asshole and I didn't like him that much, but he was still like a good guy and a friend, and like he did his best, you know, kind of thing. But also like learning to sort of appreciate, or like learning to view Molly's death in a way that like in how it's connected to Yasha as well. We don't know if it's going to be the same in the show though. We don't know if Yasha and Molly's relationship is intact, and that is something that is scaring both of us.
I have many thoughts.
But if they are going with the campaign canon and there is an established relationship with Yasha and Molly, like that, Molly's death is, I think, really pivotal for Bo to be able to come together with Yasha eventually and have the maturity
Absolutely.
to be able to hold space, not just for Molly, but Zuala as well in that
Because that's a
relationship.
complicated
Very
thing to have
complicated.
in a relationship. And that was a big facet of what kept them apart
Oh,
early on
yeah.
as well.
And
Once
honestly,
that was revealed.
yeah, and that's just like, I think one of the one of the best things about Boyasha is that it's like they meet and you can, I mean, I don't know if they consciously can tell in the moment, the characters, but like they almost immediately sort of recognize that like they're really interested in this person, but this is just the worst possible time for them to be meeting.
It's perfect example of like right person, but
Wrong
very,
time.
very wrong time.
Yeah,
Very wrong time. And thankfully,
but
it
you
becomes
get
the
to,
right time later.
yeah, that's what's satisfying though. You get to watch them work their way towards the right time, and it's not something that comes to them without work. They have to work to get there.
They gotta work for it. They gotta
And
work
it's
for that
not
shit.
just to like sort out the political tension and all that sort of stuff. It's also about like the personality growth. And we see, I think,
Yeah.
and I said this to you when we watched it on Wednesday night as well. We could include the clip if we want, but
Yeah, cut to clip.
the moment of Bo coming to what, I can't remember the actual name of the island. I always just call it Pirate Island, but when they're like having this big moment, like this big battle, that they're in initiative order and everything, and Bo is like way further ahead than the entire group because she's a monk. But she can't do something without Jester, I think it is, and she needs to make a decision about what she's going to do with her turn, because it's like, and she has that in the campaign, she has this moment of like, I can't be a rogue agent right now, I have to work as a team.
Yes.
And that moment of I wait, and like forcing herself to like still
Yeah.
and like prepare for when the team arrives so they can do it properly. That I find, even not just in terms of her as a monk and moving towards expositor, but moving towards being able to be with Yasha. I think it's like patience.
That's a big part of her character arc as well, is sort of her realizing she shouldn't and doesn't have to do it alone, right? And that even comes up in episode 3 when she's getting her cards read by Molly and he pulls out the hermit card, which I'm not super into tarot. I don't know the details of that, but he alludes to her stubbornness of, you know, wanting to just do it alone and prove that she can do it alone. But that arc of her realizing it's like, you don't have to do it alone, right?
Yeah. And I think, again, this also kind of brings us back on point a little bit, because I've got a note for Bo here too. I think what's really, really special about it though is that Bo's whole arc, not only is it about her learning to soften and learning when she needs to be soft and to allow things in, but also it's not just learning to soften, it's also learning that there are moments where you need to be hard-headed.
Yeah.
There are moments when hard-headedness will serve you well, and that comes in, I think, is really, really well displayed in the show, with Bo's attitude being like, you know, conveyed as very insubordinate, very
That girl
hard-headed.
hates authority. Authority?
Hates authority.
Words.
Authority. Dorothy?
And
But
I think I had a similar note on that. But I'll
my
let
first,
you finish.
I've got a paragraph here. I don't know how I read a paragraph.
I'm
for this,
impressed,
but the
man.
first line just says, Bo being an in quotes, Bo being an insubordinate little shit is what makes her such a good expositor.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first thing I wrote. And it's like, because the reason is you have to consider what the Cobalt Soul is. The Cobalt Soul is supposed to be an independent organization that keeps authority in check, right? That's kind of their purpose. That's their design. And when the Cobalt Soul becomes corrupt like it is in the start of the campaign and now in the show, it shows you like what it becomes, right? When an organization like that starts to value, you know, following rules and regulations over truth seeking, they've lost the plot. Immediately they've lost the plot, because the truth seeking has always got to be first. Otherwise it will just continue to get pushed further and further down the priority list by follow what the king says, follow the law, follow the regulation, blah, blah, blah. And Xenoth, like, you can also see that, you know, failure in Xenoth, I think, in that
That fucking guy, man.
you want to you want to laud yourself as a seeker of truth when you are keeping secrets, and that is like the one thing that the knowing mistress Ayun, the head of the Cobalt, like the deity at the head of the Cobalt Soul, doesn't like. Like the knowing mistress is like her nemesis is Vecna, who is like the god of secrets, you know, and like the villain of campaign 1. So you have to consider like you can already tell, and what I really like about the animated series is that it's very subtle.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't watch the campaign and know that we find them out to be corrupt, or if you're not someone who's really, really clued into like, you know, those sorts of political things where, like, I'm pretty sure in my paragraph somewhere here, it's almost like the CIA. When the CIA is more concerned with protecting the seat of power than it is about exposing truth, then they're not doing what they're designed to be doing anymore.
It's bad.
Their mission is not being met. And like over time, it seemed like we're going to see, I think the Cobalt Soul has just sort of become this organization that isn't seeking truth. It's just maintaining the status quo for the Cerberus Assembly.
Which
and
bad.
It requires, very bad. And it requires someone like Bo being a hard-headed, insubordinate little shit to see through it and be like, this is crap.
Yeah.
Like, none of you are actually seeking truth. You're just, you know, like being corporate fart holes in a fucking library.
Corrupt, greedy. And I think that's, you know, why Diron seeks Bo out and kind of brings Bo under their wing. Because they see that in Bo, right?
I reckon Diron sees themselves in Bo.
Well, Xenoth even says that. We have a moment where Xenoth...
But
you know.
but Xenoth got bought out.
Oh, yeah.
And that... unforgivable. One of the things I picked up on almost immediately was Xenoth getting upset at Bo for saying balls in the halls of the knowing mistress. She said the word balls. He's like, you're not allowed to say that. And my immediate thought went, what do you mean you can't say balls in the halls of the knowing mistress? The knowing mistress's champion is Scanlan Shortholt. What do you mean we can't say balls? I'm pretty sure Scanlan said balls. Probably like a lot.
I'm sure he said a lot of other things too.
Way worse things than balls.
Oh yeah.
And again, what I was saying before, like the knowing mistresses or like Ayun's whole vibe is knowledge and truth and learning. It's the opposite of secrets. And so this kind of like sanitized language, like tone policing in her halls, gives to me this vibe of Xenoth doesn't actually know, or like he's decided he doesn't need to follow those tenets anymore. And that displays that he's not in it for the right reasons at all.
God no.
Scumbag.
Yeah. And that I actually had quite a few notes on Xenoth.
Here's the note that I wrote about it. The last bastion of truth being corrupted feels uber relevant in the Big 25.
Yeah, it's definitely very relevant. I think there's a lot of themes in this show that are very relevant to sort of what's going on in the world today. Yeah.
Took money.
Which leads me to a point I had about Bo and like kind of Bo's backstory. So obviously, like many of the characters, we don't find out about all the details of their backstories till later on, but they're dropping little hints here and there. So we have that moment where Diron asks Xenoth, you know, why don't you just get rid of her? You've gotten rid of other monks for less. And, you know, there's that moment, he has a little smirk on his face and he says he wishes he could get rid of her. And then there's another moment where Diron mentions...
Spoiler alert.
Bo's father, which I can't remember in the campaign. Did Diron know about how Bo ended up with the soul? Because in the show...
Sure. I
she
don't
seems to
think
know.
so. Actually, what my brain is telling me, and you know what? This is one of those moments where I'm like, I usually get the instinct to be like, I might be wrong, so take it with a grain of salt. But usually I'm right. When something comes from a very dusty corner of my brain, and then I go and check it, I'm like, oh, weirdly correct. I'm pretty sure Diron finds out about what Thoreau and Xenoth did through Bo talking about it.
Interesting.
Like Bo
Interesting.
says, I think Bo tells Dairon something in a way that makes Dairon go,
Connect the dots.
wait, how did you come to the Cobalt Soul, kind of like, that kind of thing? And and Dairon goes, oh,
okay.
right, and has that moment of Xenos on the take from memory, but again, could be wrong.
Interesting. It seems like it's different in the show because it's implied Dairon knows about knows details about Bo's dad. So
my note after this just says, poor baby monk with low self-worth. I don't know what that's in relation to.
That's probably about, which again, I also wanted to kind of dig into this a little bit. That scene with Dairon, which we were just talking about, where she is kind of saying, you are a nobody. And she's like, yeah, I am a nobody. Like, Xenoth thought I was. And then Dairon mentions her father, also thinking she's a nobody. And, but then I like how Dairon kind of flips that and goes, that's why you're so dangerous.
Yeah, it's because like, you are nobody and they'll never see you coming.
Uh-huh. And I think that is a really good moment. And I put a little note that, this show, it's for the underdogs.
Yeah.
It's a very, underdog moment, which we love.
And
but yeah, Bo's going through it in that scene. And actually, I had a question for you. In the campaign, you were the all knowledge keeper of the campaign because my memory is bad.
It's been a while, but I'll try.
You'll get there. How early in the campaign do we sort of see Bo's, I guess, faith, for lack of a better word, in the soul kind of break down? Because that is happening really early in the show. Like, they reveal, she finds out about Xenoth being a traitor. Not the stuff with her dad, but like a traitor to the soul. Really, like in episode 1 that happens.
Yeah, and I think from like what my memory's telling me is that Bo always had some level of understanding that the soul wasn't what it purported to be, because she got essentially sold into it. Like, she knew the circumstances of her ending up there, and she knew that they weren't fair, like they weren't legit in any major way. Like, I think she had suspicions at the very least, and then it later came out that like it was fully confirmed that Xenoth was in no way supposed to take money for her, and I think it was like that was the revelation she had later. And it was also, I think it's also like a lot. I think Bo's arc in the campaign, for me at least, like how I interpreted it, was not so much her realizing that she had been like manipulated and taken advantage of, but more so people finally listening to her and believing her when she says, I haven't been fucked over. Like, it was not fair what happened to me. Like, I and that, because she has that moment of like, especially right at the end of the campaign, where she finds out that Xenoth's been arrested and charged because of what specifically he did to her. And she kind of has that moment of like, oh, like something actually was done about it. Something like they care enough about his wrongdoing, specifically his wrongdoing toward me, that there are consequences for his actions. And I think she has this moment of like, almost like stepping into the power she has now. She like realizes like, I have power to change. I have power to effect change now. And I think that's really important. It's not so much her realizing she's been wronged, but finally like realizing she's empowered enough to do something about it, almost.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I feel like, yes, yeah. I feel like her arc in the campaign is a really interesting one, and I'm really curious, and again, we'll talk about this at the end.
And I think like a big part
how
of her,
what they end up doing with that in the show.
Oh yeah, big time. Like, because I think, I was also starting to like branch off in this direction in my head in terms of like how much of a self-worth problem she has, not just from like the soul would have compounded it. Like, the soul has just massively compounded it from the second she got there, but it was put in place at first by her father, who wanted a son.
Yes.
And that is like a massive part of her character of like, she's never going to be good enough because she can't work hard enough to please her father. And like, I think a big part of her arc in campaign 2 is also not like, you know, I think she's finally been able to prove herself, but I think she also gets to a point where she realizes she doesn't really need to prove herself because she is enough.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a really great
yeah.
arc.
And it's also like, you know, she has like a really cool like coming into herself as a protector and a defender in terms of like a truth seeker, because you think about like what she's like at the start of the campaign and in the show. She's an insubordinate, you know, trainee monk for the Cobalt Soul who doesn't seem to give a shit about authority, doesn't seem to care, but you can tell she has a really like quite a rigid internal sense of justice. You can tell she's like, this is wrong, I don't like this, fuck you. But she doesn't quite have the skills or the language or the way to approach it in a way that's going to affect change yet. And through the campaign, she starts to find that, and eventually, like, you know, has a lot of confrontation moments with Xenoth, with the Soul, with her father, you know. And I think a big part of it is not just having those confrontational moments with those people who have wronged her in her life in a lot of ways, but having those confrontational moments with the Nine behind her.
Yes.
And believing in her.
She's got a family now.
A big theme in both the campaign and the show, just the Mighty Nine in general, is found family.
Found family.
In
and
a
that,
huge
again,
way.
is another reason why I think people really gravitate towards the Mighty Nine. And they're doing a great job capturing that already in the animated show.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
A couple of things I also wrote, like, one of these was a really great moment of like, in that episode, I think it's the second episode, Not and Caleb, did you kill them yet? Did you kill them? Not yet. And then, I don't know if you noticed.
Episode 1, baby.
Was that episode 1? It's like, did you kill them? Not yet. And then, I don't know if you noticed, it immediately smash cuts to Trent being an evil little freak.
I think I had the exact same note.
It says, cut
Also,
straight to Trent being an evil little freak, full stop.
Yeah. Also, on that, did you pick up on the fact that Not asks Caleb if he was cursed? Because she's been cursed. And I thought that was a little interesting. Like, she's
clever.
trying to relate her issue to him.
Yeah. She's like, wait, you can do magic. You might be able to undo what's happened to me. And that's something that we don't, like, I don't know, we don't find that out for a while in the campaign. But
I can't remember when, because we need Caduceus for that. So it's much later.
Well, they get Caduceus on their way back from Berleben, the swamp. Like on the way back to Zadash, following the gentleman's job.
Later.
So, like, I don't think we're seeing Caduceus until season 2.
Oh.
Like,
yeah,
late
we're not
season 2, probably.
For
I would not be surprised if season 2 ends with, spoiler alert, I would not be surprised if season 2 ends with Molly's death.
Yeah. That, I feel like the way they've paced out the show so far.
Season 3 is what brings Caduceus in.
Oh.
Another note I wrote here.
Yeah.
I just wrote, bet you the blue button belongs to Luke. Did you notice that?
How are you reading my mind? Because that was literally what I was just about to say.
This show is a very, very good example of like not perfect, but no one's ever perfect, but very, very good, like, empathetic editing, because it can communicate like it gives you beats and moments that don't need dialogue and don't need exposition, and they are still very communicative of a certain emotion or a certain feel to them. And it's the moment, it's the very, very brief pause, just like an extra couple of frames.
It's only a couple of frames
of not looking at that button, and then a glimpse at her face and her going, like,
I think she kisses.
She sort of grabs it and she goes like
face.
this, and she puts it down, and that's it, right? And you can tell that, like, all that, if you don't know anything about her character, all that really gives you is there is some level of importance to the button.
Going on.
She cares about her trinkets in some way, shape, or form. But I'm probably, like, I have to imagine that button either belongs to Yeza or Luke.
Oh, yeah. And one of the directors was saying in the premiere party. There's more buttons coming, or she has more buttons in some way.
Also,
he talked about there's apparently one with a thread on it.
Oh
that
yeah,
has some relevance.
Yeah, but I think it's cool because in the campaign she didn't really have like a specific attachment to the individual items. She just liked collecting things, and it was sort of brushed off on her being like a goblin, like a goblin erg almost. But also like she liked to collect things as a halfling too. She liked, you know, bits and bobs and baubles and stuff like that. Very cat-like. I think even as Veth, she's very cat-like.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
and I really hope they kind of carry that over a little bit to sort of show that she was still very much herself in that goblin body. Like she wasn't really pretending to be anybody else. She was just, you know, stuck in a different form.
She's just stuck in a different body. Yeah. There's this really great thread for Ford throughout that episode in particular where he's sort of thinking about, well, I feel like he grapples a lot with like what it is to be a man and heroism and being a leader, and I think we're getting like little trickles of that through episode 2. And there's a couple of moments where he's holding, and I totally forget what they're called, the arm braces, his arm armor, whatever the fuck those are called. We see Vandrin wearing the same one earlier in the episode. And then you see him pick it up off the ground, off the beach later, and he puts them on. And there's this really great shot where he's looking at it and he's looking at his reflection in Vandrin's arm braces.
Yeah, they're called braces.
And then later on in the episode, there's that moment of him talking to Jester, and Jester refers to him as a hero quite frequently throughout that episode as well. And then we have the moment when he decides to switch his accent to Vandrin's accent.
Yeah.
And he looks in the mirror and he grabs the arm brace, and then he has a flash to Vandrin.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such an interesting kind of thread.
Yeah. And that's something
that episode, right?
That's something we talked about in the moment too, because once Ford was introduced, like he actually kind of doesn't have a ton of dialogue for you to like pick up his accent in a distinct way. He is kind of saying only a couple things at a time that you're like, for anyone who's watched the campaign, we're probably going, which accent's this? I'm confused. But we realized in the moment, like, this is still his original accent. So there's gonna be a moment where he chooses to switch to Vandrin, which is kind of interesting. And I like the way they did that. I think this is one of those things that I'm actually quite happy with the way they changed it, because not only does it shows us the moment that he chooses to sort of embody Vandrin and try to be a better man, whatever that means for him. It also ties it to Jester in a way. It is sort of like, he's choosing right now to perform for her and like put on a mask a little bit for her. And it's just, I think, going to make it a lot more special when he eventually, in some small way because of her, takes the mask off again. And I think that is going to be a really great like moment of like watching it, the close moment of that, and then you'll look back at this moment and be like,
and you'll go, that thread. And that thread, they've so far trickled through every episode he's been in, like
Wild
when
Mother
they're
statue.
at the carnival.
Wild Mother statue.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's some beautiful foreshadowing right there. And
There's
also
so much.
Spoilers, I don't know, did you watch the wedding one shot? Maybe I won't spoil that for you.
Not yet, but I don't mind.
I won't spoil that for you. You should watch it. It's really feels like OG Mighty Nein.
Yeah.
Chaos.
The final note, like I was terrible at writing notes for episode 3. The final note I wrote was, the Ruby loves her daughter so dang much, wish she were thicker though.
Which, valid point there. Can't argue with that.
One of my main like takeaways I had once I finished watching them the second time through on my own was like, I think one of the reasons this feels like it's very reflective of the Big 25 and our current world is because like in both the Empire and in the Dynasty, one of the central like themes is kind of there's a lot of like people in seats of power who are afraid to die and are refusing to do so, and they're grasping at all of these available methods to try and escape death. The beacon, you know, like the beacon's like their big focus right now because they've clearly failed in other areas. But like Trent, King Dwendal, the Bright Queen, who is at this point we know in the beginning throes of Typhros. I know it's like alluded to in the animated series
where Essek is talking to, I forget his name, but it's Raoul Coley's character, Virat.
Yep.
His name is Virat. They're having a conversation about her, and they're sort of alluding to like, oh, she's kind of acting a little crazier than normal.
Yeah, she's been like, and they kind of chalk it up to the war.
Yeah,
I think, but we do know from maybe not even necessarily campaign canon, but from book canon, Wildmount book canon,
the ultimate canon. Look who's on the cover.
Red Queen.
And is that the King Dwendal next?
I mean, it could be. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
He looks like he does in the animated series a little.
It is a crown, so presumably. But this book does confirm that the Bright Queen has begun to show signs of Typhros. And that's... What is interesting about that is that it kind of does tell you how young the Kryn dynasty is. Like, it's still old because she's lived like 8 lifetimes or something crazy. But that is still a young...
In the scheme of things.
A young country, like a young nation in the scheme of things, which I think is kind of interesting. You think about like... But I mean, I guess in terms of Exandria being post-apocalyptic, a lot of places are young, but... It does kind of tell you that this does kind of confirm that the dynasty is a fairly recently begun nation, and that like this also confirms that the Bright Queen was the very first Umavi, and she's kind of like the one who started the religion around the Luxon.
For those of us who are not deep into the lore, explain what that means.
So the Umavi is the term the Kryn dynasty used to refer to a perfect soul, and it's essentially someone who has like lived through many lifetimes like of consecution. Each of the main houses of the Kryn dynasty have an Umavi, I believe, and it's Essek's mother who is the Umavi of Den Thalis. That's confirmed in the campaign, but she doesn't actually ever appear. She's not even named in the campaign. It's just said that Essek's mother, at some point, Essek's mother is the Umavi of Den Thalis, I believe. But it makes sense for her to be also experiencing Typhros if she's essentially lived as many lives as the Bright Queen has. Yeah. Which seems likely because, like I said, all of the houses have an Umavi at the head. And something that we talked about in the moment during that scene in the show was it does kind of give Essek a really great motivator of not wanting to be consecuted. Not only does he think the Luxon shouldn't be worshipped but studied instead because he's a very intellectual, intelligent guy, he also has watched what it is doing to his mother and doesn't want that to happen to him because his intelligence is very important to him. His intellect is a very primary characteristic of his person. Oh, yeah. And I can imagine that he's like, as much as I would love to have more like the knowledge of multiple lifetimes, is it worth the risk of eventually having fantasy dementia?
Yeah, which I quite like that analogy, like that real world analogy to that sort of illness.
Yeah, and actually on
tragic, sad.
On the topic of consecution, I find it curious that we not just like heard about, but actually witnessed that Volstrucker's soul going into the beacon. Right?
Yeah.
That feels
crazy.
That feels important because I feel like we're gonna run into him again later, perhaps, potentially, because we know what the Luxon does. Even the show audience knows what the Luxon does because it was displayed first and foremost. And I also, actually, again, also on that topic, it does give a lot higher stakes. Like, it sets the stakes a lot higher than it does in the campaign,
Holy
because
crap,
we
it
know
does.
that there are thousands of souls contained in that beacon, not just like luck motes, like actual people are in that
People's
beacon.
souls, and that's very important to the dynasty as well. You know, that's their biggest motivator, which this is a great segue into a point I really wanted to talk about Trent and the beacon. So when he first gets the beacon, it's kind of implied that he doesn't know everything about it, and Essek hasn't told him everything it can do. Because that moment where, I think Dane is his name, the Volstrucker, when his soul is getting pulled into the beacon, like Trent's watching the beacon do this stuff, and he has this realization that it's like, oh, it's not just this thing that can contain souls. And there's a line later on in the
very
What's
powerful.
Next where he goes, this is also a weapon. It is not just some religious relic, right?
Oh yeah.
And then we have that flash. He looks into the beacon, and they sort of establish this thing of when you look into the beacon, you see possibilities of futures. And Essek talks about and explains that much more eloquently than I can.
Yes,
But
in a very scripted
there's some
way.
really interesting.
It is, and that's something that you can find out more about in here, because like a lot of the class-based stuff around dunamancy plays into that. I, in a campaign that didn't last super long, very briefly played an Echo Knight, and like the whole idea of Echo Knights, I don't know if we've like officially seen an Echo Knight in the show yet. We've seen
Not sure.
like the normal soldiers, but the Echo Knights are like, they have a very, very particular ability that you will like notice when they do it, because they essentially create echoes. They create echoes of themselves, which are functionally versions of themselves they've pulled from dying timelines. So timelines that aren't the main like real timeline moving forward. They're like the echoes of possibility of timelines that didn't eventuate because you didn't make that choice. The whole idea of Echo Knights is they have the power through dunamancy to pull those echoes into our reality and use them as in their battle. And like the whole functionality of them is that you can actually like teleport between the two positions. So like if you send your echo 30 feet away, and I think there's a limit to how far away they can be, but you can send the echo away from you and then actually switch places with it. And you can also attack from its position and stuff like that. It's very cool, and I'm really excited to see how they do that in the show, because it's gonna look.
It's
really
gonna
awesome.
come up. It's
gonna look so cool.
In the cold open, there is some, and again, I'd have to rewatch it now with that knowledge. There's like the pink kind of silhouettes of, I think it's the Kryn soldiers.
Maybe I might have missed it, but I potentially. But I feel like
because it could be some other spell. But
I really want to like see it, like real, like them actually sort of like not casting. It's not a spell because it's a fighter ability, but like actually using the ability. I kind of want to see them almost like split, like the essence of them from different timelines, like out of them into a separate thing would be so cool.
Yeah.
And I also just think like in general, it's going to be like a really cool fight, because it's like, think about how cool the Bow and Aurelia fight was. Aurelia, however you pronounce it. But one of the parties can like essentially misty step between two versions of themselves.
Crazy.
That's awesome. And it's a lot of fun. In that campaign
surely
I played,
that'll come up. Yeah.
In that campaign I played, I had one of those moments of like, does my echo float? And the DM's like, I don't know. And I'm like, could I summon my echo like 15 feet over the edge of this sky ship so I can attack that harpy? Would it float in the air or would it fall? It doesn't have any weight. And it was one of those moments where it's like, the book doesn't really give you any guidance on this, so you just kind of have to make a decision.
Yeah.
But I really like the technicality you can get with the Echo Knights, and I want to see how they visualize it.
I wanted to get your thoughts on, I don't know if you saw, I posted in the screen cap zone or on the mirror board. You'd probably have to scroll up a bit, but there's five flashes of what Trent sees when he looks into the beacon. I don't know if
which episode was it?
Episode 1. Here, I'll post a screenshot.
5.
For
Here we go. No, I found them. I think. No, wait, that's.
You found them? I'll put them in.
Oh no, yeah, no, I found it. It's the one. It's the one where one of them looks like what looks like Stranger Things, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also posted it in the chat again. So there's the first one is the king.
Probably should have put myself in D&D. That's going to come through. So anybody watching this, that was me, not you. Sorry. You know when you're watching a streamer and you hear like a Windows notification and you're like,
that
wasn't me.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah. And this is something I really wanted to talk about. There's a shot of King Dwendal and Trent's, I don't know, killed him, and Trent is wearing the crown.
Wearing the crown, yeah.
The second shot is just the back of Molly.
Or
random. It
another
looks
name
like
starting
Molly
with
in
L.
the circus. It looks like Molly in the circus. And then we have a group shot of the Nine with the eyes.
Mm-hmm. That's the Stranger Things looking one.
Yeah. And then there's a shot of Yasha stabbing Bo.
Brutal.
Awesome. And then there's the shot of, I think people were saying it's Aor in the snow.
Isle Cross of some kind, yeah.
No, that's what... Oh, I can't remember.
Isn't Isle Cross where Aor is?
I don't know. I can't remember. But I thought that was a very fascinating collection of images.
Aor
this is what Trent sees,
into
right?
Isle Cross when it came down. So like when they go to visit the crash sites of Aor, it's in Isle Cross.
Right, okay.
I think it's the continent name. Sorry, anyway, go on.
No. Just like thoughts, feelings.
It's clever because it shows you, like, I mean, we knew Trent was evil, but it shows you immediately what his intentions are. Like, I think especially the first frame being him with a crown on, it shows you that he only cares about power. And mind you, I'm pretty sure this book designates the man as chaotic evil.
That checks out.
And I'm pretty sure Vesterogna is neutral evil, which kind of says something, doesn't it? It tells you...
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I find it quite like fascinating because there's also if I can find it, people who are not as evil on the Cerberus Assembly as well. But I'm sort of curious because it kind of indicates, I don't know, it's hard to like, are we looking... We're not looking through Trent's eyes because Trent's in the first one, but is like, my mind immediately goes to that second frame. Is it Molly or is it Lucian? Did Trent cross paths with Lucian while Lucian was working with Dorogna?
And that's the thing I had a bit of a question mark about with these flashes, is like, is this stuff relating to Trent's possible future? Or is this just possible futures? Because obviously we see it, like, he looks into the beacon and then this is what they show us. Which is different to when Essek looks into the beacon in episode 2 or 3. He sees his possible futures. So I don't know if that has any significance, but...
Possible
It looks like
futures.
a shot of Molly at the circus. It looks like... But again, I don't know if that's just because we've got this... scene of Molly, we'll just use it for this.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I
feel
weird,
like
this is one
weird collection of images.
Feels like it's one where we don't know, but yeah, this book does. It's chaotic evil, and what I thought is like going to be really great is, well, not really great, but you know, it's going to come out probably in the show a little bit.
Fun.
Well, I mean, the whole first line is Trent is respected as the acclaimed propagandist of the Empire. So that just goes to tell you what his motives are. But it does specifically note in the book that he collects young students from the Soltris Academy for his experiments doing mental conditioning that he calls awakening. So that's what he calls training the Volstruckers. He calls it awakening. And it says, many of these students go mad and are locked away. But those who endure become zealots for the assembly and join the Volstrucker, an elite group of arcane thuds, commonly known as Scourges, who perform the assembly's dirtiest work under Trent's direction. So that, I think, gives you a very, harsh glimpse into the kind of stuff Caleb went through.
Yeah, which to pivot slightly before we come back to this collection of images, seems like we're going to see a lot of Caleb's backstory this season. I think they're really kind of front-loading.
We're going to see how brutal
which makes
it
sense.
is. Yeah.
Which makes sense because it's very connected to the plot with Trent and the Volstruckers.
And we got his necklace too, which is kind of a pivotal point. His anti-scry necklace.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious to see where this goes because like they have done a pretty good job of displaying Trent as being like just particularly evil. He isn't really serving. He is serving his own motives, but that like his motives aren't the driver of his violence. He is just violent. That's just who he is. He enjoys inflicting pain. That's part of his character, and I find that like I think this is something we said on the night as well, that we are enjoying how much they're leaning into the unsavory aspects of what they're trying to address. They aren't beating around the bush and trying to make a very, very hidden subterfuge, point about things. They aren't trying to bury, their moral teaching super deep into the narrative like some people do when they're trying to get it past a corporate board. They are being very they're being very upfront with what they're addressing. Like there've been multiple references to racism, multiple like slurs thrown by characters, like cricks. Calling Krim soldiers cricks is a slur. In universe, that's a slur. There is already like in instances of it being like not being unable to get her flask refilled despite being technically an adult woman. Even as a goblin, she's an adult woman.
Yeah.
Her not being able to get service in a lot of places, like that kind of thing. I'm like, good, don't shy away from that, because if you're going to address them, address that point and do it properly. And I like that they're doing that. It's great
they're not shying away from that. And like even Bo makes a comment about not being a goblin, and then Molly has that really great moment where he's like, they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, it's like, that's not a child, that's a goblin.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really great moment and as well, to kind of show the politics of the world, right?
Yeah, Bo also mentions it, I think, in her conversation with Xenoth. She says, like, Ruzumir is just being racist. Like, that's all he was doing.
Yeah.
He was being racist.
They're very upfront about it. Which is great.
And I really, really enjoy that. I think that's going to be, I think that's something they should really keep, not necessarily front and center, but they should hang on to that severity. Hang on to the brutality of it, because the reality of the situation is this is a brutal campaign. People die. Like, a lot of people die.
Oh yeah.
We start the campaign, like, one of the things we find out early in the campaign specifically about the Kryn dynasty is that they're kidnapping children. And that actually reminds me of another thing that I was going to say, which is that I like that it's indicative or reflective of real life, in that there is, like, again, what I said before, there's so much complexity in what's going on. There is no clear right or wrong, right? It is such a gray area
world
in so many ways that you think about, like, so you think, we find out at the start of the campaign that the Kryn dynasty is kidnapping children, and so your brain goes, oh, that's evil, so the Kryn dynasty are the villains, right? No. Because you find out later there is a very good reason why those kids are disappearing, and it's it's very much tied to the beacon and the way that their society works. Like, you could kind of connect the dots here when it comes to, we already know what consecution is.
Yeah.
If a soul can be reborn, the book says the souls can be ensnared within 100 miles of a beacon. So theoretically, they can probably be reborn within 100 miles of the beacon. And if that beacon is next to the border of Xhorhas, 100 miles will go into the Empire. And so you start to realize that nothing is as simple as it sounds, at least when you first hear about it. There is way more complexity to it. And that is also just a very good story, because there is it's what is so good about, for example, The Last of Us. There's no right or wrong decision for Joel to make at the end of the first game. He just has to make a decision, and there will be consequences to either one. There isn't a right or wrong. And that's what's,
I feel like that's
so good about, that's what makes a good story. It's complex, and it's gritty and engaging in that way. It feels relatable, because you're like, oh, that would be so difficult. I don't know what I would do. Or maybe you do, And that's why it's interesting, because we all have a different perspective to pull from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
it's such a, I like that they're laying out a lot of that lore and showing the politics of the world, like right off the bat. We see that, and they're talking about war.
And that's what feels.
And then we see how the war is
Game of
trickling
Thronesy.
through.
Game of Thronesy. Again, it's they've done a good job of setting up the stakes and showing us the world that these characters are just going to exist in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited to see how they continue kind of expanding that.
And it's very Game of Thronesy in terms of the ambition and stuff as well. Like you think about the way like season 1 of Game of Thrones goes, and I got to about season 4 of Game of Thrones, and
that's where I dropped off.
Then the medieval fantasy overtook the storytelling for me, and I was like, I don't care anymore. But Game of Thrones is also like in the way that like you start season 1 of Game of Thrones off going, oh, these are the Starks, these are the good guys, these are the Lannisters, these are the bad guys. But then by the end of season 1, you're like, I kind of don't like some of these Starks, and I do kind of like some of these Lannisters. I'm very confused about what's going on here. That's the point,
because
right?
nobody's the villain.
There's no
villain.
villain.
There is no villains in the real world.
Except maybe Trent. Because that guy's just straight up evil. Like
True.
he just enjoys hurting people, which is like that's kind of as close to true. That's as close to true evil as you're going to get in real life. It's just someone who enjoys inflicting pain, and I think that's kind of what makes Trent more so the big bad of the campaign than the Nonagon and all that sort of shit. Even though that's sort of like the BBEG in a way, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah. Oof,
but I'm
much,
excited.
So much lore, so much juice.
And just the design of it and the queerness is so good. I really can't wait for them to lean into Beau's queerness, because she hasn't had the opportunity to flirt yet, and that's what I'm sad about.
No.
Because is this where we need to get into our feeling about Yasha?
I have some news for you.
Oh.
I read a review this morning where the reviewer was talking about how their queerness is very in the story. They don't shy away from it. Obviously, I don't think there's not going to be any Beau Yasha this season, aside from that one shot we have of Yasha stabbing Beau, which is on brand for them. But they were talking about how nobody is going to be able to get through this season and not know that Beau is gay as hell. And I was like, hell yeah. I don't know what the details are of that, but hell yeah.
There is something in my brain telling me that they, like, it's quite... Yeah, because Molly's there. There's a moment quite early in the campaign. They set up... they set up company for the night. Let's just say that. I was about to say something that probably would get
rewatched that not long ago.
Will probably get us pinged on TikTok or something, but, you know. They set up... They purchased company for the evening. I'll say that.
Yes, yeah.
They reserve.
And then,
anyway.
And Beau specifically is like, woman.
Yeah. But I think...
so it sounds like they're not shying away from that, which is awesome. Because love Beau Yasha, but before Beau Yasha, Beau is a gay mess.
Yeah,
and we want to see that.
Keg. Can't wait.
I don't think we're getting Keg this season.
No, wait. No, it'll be next season, because...
Next season.
Well, what we think, like, we need to get into our theories, because we've already been on for like 2 hours at this point.
Oh, that's fine.
Also, hold on, I was messaging someone on an app and then disappeared for hours, so I don't think anything's happening now. That's fine. Wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, I told you about the her thing, right?
Yeah.
How many fucking likes I've had in a day? Like, I swear to God,
it's the only app I use.
If this comes down to me just using the wrong fucking app, 14. I have gone months back to back in a row on Tinder and Bumble, literally not receiving a single like, and it's because that's where all the straight girls are.
You can tell that app is just made by straight people, and they try and be inclusive, but they're not. But it's actually made
by queer people
for queer people, and it shows.
And it's like I have always like known that
I'm recording right now, by the way.
So am I. Oh, it's getting cut out, but it's like just crazy that like It's just so crazy that I specifically had to be on the app where all the queer women are, because like my audience is not straight women. Trans men can't date straight women. It's never gonna work. It's just like it's so
Straight
difficult.
women are kind of scary anyway.
Yeah, they are. Okay. Anyway, we're talking. We now wanted to talk about our theories. Our theories. Our thoughts for the future of this season slash series. The What's Next promo. It was a lot of flashing, just like flashes of things. And there's some stuff that if you've watched the campaign, you can catch a couple of them. Like there's a couple of shots of them walking through what looks to be the tunnel to Jorhas, to Rossana, which I think is going to be really interesting.
When does that
that'll
happen
be
in
a
the
fun-
campaign?
Like episode 50-ish. Like it
Oh, I know-
is.
We're not getting that far.
No. This is just there's shots of it in the What's Next promo.
Well, the What's Next is just season 1.
Is it?
Yeah,
So this, I reckon, might be the.
it's just season 1.
This
Because
might be
they've
the.
not officially confirmed season 2 yet. We only know that because Travis said that they finished recording VO for it, but it's not actually been confirmed.
So this must be the fish people then. This must be the swamp because they fight them underground, do they not? But at the same time,
It's
But at the same time, this shot with Molly in front and the rope, it looks like Aor. Like the rope coming down makes me think Aor. The one next to the one with the tunnel underneath the Ford and Kari.
What are you looking at?
The What's Next promo. Underneath, above Caleb's backstory, that square.
Yes.
The one on the left. The rope coming down makes me think Aor, even though it's almost certainly not. Makes me think.
I mean, Marisha did say they're like changing the timeline of things, right? So we don't know. They could jump really far ahead, but I feel like that wouldn't make sense. Like if we're ending season 1 with them getting a beacon and they're in Zadash.
Yeah, but that does kind of look like the swamp.
It's
What might be the swamp where they're, because it's in the swamp in the underground section that they find the cloven crystal.
well, there is a shot of Ford, and it's right above that cave one. He's swimming somewhere.
Yeah, but that also
So,
kind of
I don't-
confuses me because where do they swim if it's not the swamp?
I mean, it could be something new. Like we know they're making
Could
a
be
lot
a
of big
flashback.
changes. Could be it could be well, he's wearing his outfit that he's got now, so it's probably not a flashback.
It's one of those things where it's like they know they've given us too little to really know what's going
Piece
on.
it together.
I incredibly love this shot of Caleb just being a fucking pyro.
Oh yeah,
Like he's
We're gonna
clearly being a little psycho.
we're gonna get a lot of Caleb backstory, and I think Sam actually just straight up said it in an interview. He's like, "Yeah, we get to see his backstory," which is like kind of fun.
It is fun.
Should we start from the top? I feel like we've just
Yeah.
jumped into the middle. So if we look at the start, we have
It's
that
just a
clip
lot of war.
Trent goes, "This beacon is not just a religious relic, it's also a weapon." So he's now realized that this thing can be used as a weapon. We get some shots of the war. We get some shots of Yasha killing some people. And then we get some shots of the Nine. They're in the prison. And they're talking about like, oh, maybe we can work together to help stop the war. And I think that's really interesting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like it's funny because what we've been talking about the Mighty Nine this whole time, talking about them being chuckle fucks that just keep falling into the situation at any given point in time. They can't do that for the whole campaign, the whole show, right?
No.
They can stumble into the start of it, but after that, they kind of need to start making active decisions, and they do in the campaign. But I'm sort of curious about how, like, if they're sort of talking about like, oh, maybe we can help stop the war. that's probably going to be before they've stolen the beacon.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I'm just kind of curious where they go with that, because a big part of the campaign is that they really don't know what the F is going on with the beacon. For a while,
I
they're
don't
like,
think they're gonna know
yeah,
until they get a hold of one.
well, they get a hold of one for a long time, and then they also just like don't know what it is and don't know what to actually do with it, because they for a while they just drag it around in the bag of holding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're really gonna have, or kind of show a bit more of them consciously making the choice that, hey, maybe we do want to try and help. Because there's also this really great line from Molly later on in the What's Next, where he talks about that their hearts are all in the same place. So it's something, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but he's sort of talking about how, like, obviously they've all got their own goals and things that they're trying to get done, but like ultimately their hearts are in a similar place, which could be alluding to, they're chuckle fucks, they fuck up, they're a bit dumb, but like underneath all that, like, and I think you talked about this with Bo as well, like she's got a good sense of justice and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder if they're going to play into that a little bit, where it's like they're a bit dumb, but like they're all trying to be good people.
Yeah. Also say, we were talking about this before we started recording, and I just sort of realized something now. Actually, way further down. Sorry,
No, all good.
the war machines, the automaton that we see very briefly in that section. When we first saw that, my brain immediately jumped to Aor. And I thought, that can't possibly be Aor yet. That is so many seasons away at this point.
Way too early.
But then we realized quickly it's probably Huppadook, right? Huppadook is a city they hit in early campaign, like they visit early in the campaign, where there is a lot of industrialization, a lot of like war machines being made, a lot of technology. It's a gnome, a very high gnome population in the city, I think it is, which they're known to be like tinkerers and that sort of thing. But I did actually just realize, if this season ends where I am theorizing, I don't know if you're theorizing it, if you had a different theory.
I think we have the same theory.
If we are theorizing, if we're correct about where season 1 may end, then this is Huppadook, that means they've moved Huppadook to be earlier, because they don't actually visit Huppadook properly until they're on the way back to Zadash.
Right.
So, because they have to pick up. Remember, they have to pick up Kiri. They go to the swamp. That's where they meet Kiri, and then when they're on their way back, they find a place.
The beacon at this point.
Yes, and they find Kiri a place to stay in Huppadook because they can't keep her with them.
That's right.
So
that's right. It's the party town.
Yeah, it's like they work hard 9 to 5, and then the second that 5 o'clock hits, the entire town turns into like New Orleans on Mardi Gras. It's like that kind of city. And that is after the Iron Shepherds. That's after that's on the way back to Zadash. It's like episode 23 or 24.
The timeline, unless that's not Huppadook and it's something else. Also, I don't know if it's my internet or if it's your internet. Sometimes, like, disappear for a second.
Hold on, maybe not. Am I wrong?
I don't know. Did any...
Yes, it is, because Molly dying is also on the way back to Zadash. Don't mind me. I'm just being silly. I was like, wait, am I wrong?
Well, good, man.
But yeah, that is sort of like...
I don't know if you heard what I said.
Nope, I was like so deep in trying to figure out where my brain thought was going.
That's going to be a really funny clip, because I'm trying to tell you, I'm like, I don't know if it's your internet or my internet, but like you keep like crackling up a little bit. Oh. And so I said all that and it was just like dead silent.
I was just frozen. I was in my mind palace. I was like trying to figure out.
All good.
It's probably internet connection. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's just like there's little hints of it every now and then, but
it'll be fine because I'm recording
we'll see how the footage.
I'm recording my source directly, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
And you
Easy.
sound fine to me. But yeah, we believe those automata to be in Huppadook. But yeah, that means that Huppadook is happening earlier. But like theoretically, so we should just
Unless
rather than
it's
keep
something
saying
completely different.
rather than us just rather than us just continuing to say our theory for where the season ends, we'll just talk about that. My theory was, so at we kind of went through a couple of theories on the night that we watched it, and I was like, do you think it'll end with Molly dying? Because that kind of gives a Game of Thronesy vibe. It's too far into the campaign. They're not going to be able to get through that much exposition.
They're not getting that far.
Based on the exposition they've gotten through so far, we don't have enough time for that.
And also, we didn't get Molly until episode 3, so
Yeah.
it would really be not that many episodes with Molly to then just kind of kill him off. I feel like there's not enough time to like
Get to know him a bit.
get everyone really attached, get his bond dynamics with the rest of the group as well before.
Yeah, because Taliesin got to play Molly for 26 episodes, which were weekly, so that's like half a year, straight up half a year.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
Yeah,
really.
And yeah. So
but anyway, sorry, continue with your theory.
That's where we started, and we were like, no, it doesn't make sense. And then also we did look at the names of the episodes for the remainder of the season, and the final episode is called the Zadash Job, which fairly well implies that it's going to be Zadash where the season ends. I feel like it's likely going to be them accepting the job from the gentleman to go to the swamp, which is where they find the Cloven Crystal, Kiri. I think they also run into Kaliana up there. And
they do, yeah.
On the way back is where Molly dies. So I think my theory was, I feel like they're going to end the season just after they steal the beacon and go, what the hell is this and what do we do with it?
They start the season with the beacon as well, and it's been such an important thread throughout
They've
every
set
episode.
up how important of an artifact it is.
To end it with that, you're like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty epic.
And I hope I can go find the clip of me realizing that in the moment of wait, they're going to end it with that's going to be so good. Because, like you said, they set up the stakes so well, particularly for the beacon, so well. It was, there are thousands of souls in it. It is very important to their religion and their society, and the functioning of their society as well. Not only is it a thing they worship, there are souls stored in it. It is central to the functioning of their society and people being reborn. And then it also is it's going to be stolen if it stays the same, which I imagine it will. It's a pretty big story beat in campaign 2.
Yeah.
They're stealing it very impulsively in what is an attempt to retrieve it by the Kryn dynasty. So it's very messy, and it's very, I think, it's a moment that only the Mighty Nine, I think, could get themselves into. I feel Vox Machina maybe, but Bell's Hells probably wouldn't. You can't. Fern's such a rogue actor. Who knows? But it's very much they just very impulsively decide we should get involved in this, and then they end up with this crazy powerful artifact, which is now no longer
crazy.
It's now in their possession, and now the Empire and the Kryn dynasty don't know where it is. It's very indicative
it's
for
gotta be that.
And it also gives the Mighty Nine a great deal of importance, because it's what they're taking back to the dynasty when they walk through that tunnel. So I feel like it's got to stay, that story beat's got to stay relatively the same-ish. Maybe not fully, but I feel like that would be the perfect time for this season to end. Even just with the 3 episodes we've already got, it would just tie it together in a way.
It would make sense.
And it also gives you that moment of well, what are they going to do now that will bring you back for season 2?
Weapon. Yeah. And my question was, so in the campaign, there's multiple beacons. So far on the show, we've only seen one, and I've seen people debating that if that's something they've changed, where there's only one beacon.
I doubt it.
But the timeline of that seems tricky, because in the What's Next video, you've got Trent is using the beacon to start the war. So if it's one beacon, how the fuck does it go from Trent starting the war to in the hands of the Nine? Where the fuck is Yasha.
Where the fuck?
Ding 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 ding.
Where the fuck, Yasha?
Where is she?
Bring her back immediately right now. What are you doing? Where my home girl?
So, should we jump into this? Because I have so many thoughts.
I mean, yeah, like my main thought is just where is she, and like what, and I like I said, I have fear about what they've changed, because there feels like, to me, there feels like a lot of stuff in the early campaign that is really important, not just to Bo Yasha, but to her relationship with all of the Nine. And it feels like if they have really drastically changed Yasha's plot, like Yasha's storyline, that she doesn't have a pre-established like connection with Molly, it does kind of feel like it takes away a lot. But at the same time, I am trying to have trust, because we don't know yet, right? That's just me being anxious.
The wise words of Miss Johnson, who said, so she said that what they've done with Yasha's story is, her story is now everything that she ever wanted it to be in the campaign, which she obviously couldn't do because she wasn't there for parts of it. But that was the way she described it. And they also said something. Showrunner pulled a lot from her comic, which for some of the characters, they've completely disregarded their like comic backstories, like the Caleb one where he meets Not
in a prison
is different already. So I thought that was interesting, and Ashley seems really happy, so I'm remaining cautiously optimistic. I'm gonna wait to see the whole package, and then I'm gonna decide.
We both expect them to work a lot of, those things back into the show if they need to move them to a later point. Yes. But it just, I think I told you, my biggest fear, because the only indication, the only moment we got with Yasha implies she's currently under the control of someone. People who have seen the campaign are assuming it's Oban. We don't know for sure, but we presume she's under the control of Oban. And what scared me a little bit was the idea that she was still going to end up meeting the Nine in a similar enough way, fairly soon, but that she was still going to be under control, and that, she would remain under control until she's broken free of it in the campaign, much later, which is when Ashley actually returns from New York, permanently.
I feel pretty confident that they're not gonna wait.
Yeah, that was my worst case. That was my worst case scenario thought of that just kind of destroys her relationship with all of them, because none of it's genuine, right? They've never had a genuine interaction, which is just, I just don't think they do that. It doesn't feel smart.
I don't think they'll do that.
Like it honors Yasha's character in any way, shape, or form. So I really highly doubt they will do that. That was just the anxiety fear I got.
Worst case scenario, right? Yeah.
And it's not just about the Bo Yasha of it all. It's also about her relationship with Molly, I think, because it's really quite, it's not just integral to her growth. Specifically, his death is integral to her growth, because it does a lot of work in her letting Zuala go. And that is a lot of
it's so layered.
That's a very important aspect of her getting to a point where she's in both the right place and the right time to be with Bo. And so that's my anxiety a little bit is I really don't want them to devalue the connection between her and Molly, because that feels important to a lot of her character growth.
Yes.
Because
and I think it is really important.
Sorry, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I have many thoughts, and once you're finished with your thoughts, I'll happily dive into mine. So please continue.
Just say, it feels very important to her character growth, in general, because, when we meet her in the start of the campaign, she has not let go of Zuala. She's still really wrestling with that death, and she's really struggling with it. And we don't even know how long ago it was. It theoretically could have been over a decade ago, and she's just lost all of that time because she's struggling with it so much, and she's fallen in with because we know that for a bit before the campaign, she was previously with Oban and broke free, I think, right? That was part of the storyline. So
yes, we can consult the ancient text, which I pulled this out of storage for this video.
Very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she was with Oban for a bit beforehand, and so like it's like the death of another loved one that I think kind of forces her into like learning how to let go and to grieve properly.
Oh yeah.
And so
Because grief is so complex.
so
as well, and
complex.
it's
It's a
just-
really tough feeling to like get through. And I think like the anxiety, the fear that I have is that, you know, because we don't know what's happening with her yet, there's a lot of secrecy around where she is, I just have fear that their relationships won't be as well established as they were in the campaign to make those story beats hit as hard as they do, and to sort of propel the story in the way that they do for, at the very least, for Yasha, and like the ways in which she's connected to the rest of the party. And like, I think it is also, if you think about Molly's death in terms of the whole party, it's important for all of them. Like it is a very harsh, like wake up, grow up moment for Jester, who's been very sheltered and is very naive still. And it's like a lack of, or I think probably one of the first moments where Bo is like, we were not working well enough as a team, and for that somebody died. And like it's just there's so, even down to a granular level, there's so much importance in a lot of those little tiny relationship things that I'm worried about losing if Yasha is going to be severely separated for so long.
Yeah. And it sounds like she will be kind of doing her own thing for a lot of the season. So I've been thinking about this a lot. I've had a lot of time to be thinking about it. But I keep coming back to Ashley talking about how she said in a couple of interviews that Yasha's story is essentially the same as it was in the campaign, but the biggest change is how she meets the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, I feel like a lot of the major beats of her arc will be similar, but obviously, I mean, it's already different. So how she meets the Nine, it will already be different, is what I'm trying to say. And I've lost my train of thought. Looping back. In the What's Next video, there's a shot of her outside of Zadash. And if you squint, there's a little cart right at the front of the gate of Zadash. And a lot of people were wondering, oh, is that the Nine's cart? Because that would be kind of cute. It's like she sees the cart.
You think she follows him back to Zadash?
And we know she wants, well, she wants the beacon, but I'm assuming that Oban wants the beacon, and then he's sending her after the beacon. Mm-hmm. For what reasons, we don't know yet. There's a few theories floating around about that, but my general theory or thoughts about it is potentially we'll get maybe some snippets of flashbacks of to sort of show how she came to be with Oban. I don't think we'll see Oban. I think we'll get like maybe references or he's alluded to.
Yeah.
And then I think, so rereading the comic as well, it talks about how when she breaks free from Oban, she doesn't really know why. It's just like there's a part of her that's like calling out for help or whatever. Let me find the exact line.
Oh, this is in the comic?
This is in the comic, and the only reason I bring out the comic is because the showrunner said they pulled a lot from the comic when writing Yasha. Where is the damn line?
I still can't get over Trent just looking like a tall, skinny, evil Uncle Iroh.
Oh my god, you're gonna have to cut all this out of me trying
He's like, his character design's very Fire Nation, is what it is.
It is. So she talks about, so then one day something shook me awake enough that I was able to resist the charm I was under. I saw a way out and I took it. Something had guided me to this place, this old forgotten ruin. That's when she wakes up at like the Stormlord's altar or whatever.
Oh, it's implied to be Cord that draws her away from Oban's control, and that's great because
so maybe we'll see a bit of that. Maybe and
then, I mean, it does make sense.
She somehow ends up in Zadash. And I potentially think... So in the episode description for the Zadash job, it talks about the Nine actually split up at some point and they're off doing different things. So my thought is we'll still get Molly Yasha, but it happens... They're just sort of shifting the timeline of it because Marisha also said that in the premiere party. She said, just because you haven't seen something... where it normally would be in the campaign, it doesn't mean it's not coming later.
Yeah. I also, like, I think I said to you, like, I have some, like, there was also, like, a small idea I had, like, a little bit of hope that potentially when Yasha shows up, it will be implied that her and Molly already know each other. Like, maybe they, like, had a very short, like, you know, passing connection in the past. Like, there's maybe before Oban, like, or, like, if there was a point in time where she was... not with Jorhas, but not with Oban, like, was with the carnival for a second, broke away again. Probably not, but it would be hard to do without showing her, because it'd be weird for her to be like, hey, and Molly be like, oh, hey, I know you. What's up? But it's also like,
I feel like that would be odd, and I almost don't want that. I almost want to see them meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Then because
I think
we know Molly's going to make it. Oh no. I'll finish my thought and then you go through your thoughts. That was another big reason why I was like, I don't think Molly's dying this season because he's not even met Yasha yet. It's way too soon. So I think she's maybe on her way to Zadash, she breaks free of this charm. And I don't think they're going to go into much detail about what that is, but I feel like they'll make it clear something's changed. And for whatever reason, she's still going to Zadash. Maybe she finds a beacon. I don't fucking know. We literally know nothing. Yeah. I'm just spitballing random shit out of my brain right now. And then, so she meets Molly and she's like freshly free from this charm. Because I don't know if you read the Molly comic. There's a sort of a scene of that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then maybe we get to actually see that relationship grow and develop through season 2 before bad thing happen. But what's your fear? Tell me your fear.
The new fear I just unlocked is actually not to do with the show itself, but more so the reaction to the show. Something that we've talked about a lot in the lead up to this show and in like the first couple of episodes is how afraid we are of people and their reactions to it. Like we were people who, as mentioned earlier, watched campaign 2 pretty much in real time for the most part. Like I started watching, like I started episode 1 in March of 2018-ish, and it started in January that year, and you had a little bit to catch up because it was like 2019-ish when you started.
It was still early on-ish.
It was the second...
Later than you.
I can tell you exactly when. It was the second it was confirmed that Yasha was gay, because as soon as I had enough material to convince her to watch it, I was texting you in all caps.
You know what?
It's probably in there.
I'm gonna find the receipts.
Probably, yeah. As soon as it was confirmed that Yasha used to have a wife, I was texting Jim that moment going, Jim, Yasha gay! Ashley Johnson's character's gay! And from that
Yasha
moment
gay.
on, Jim was fully invested.
I'll find it. I'm gonna find it because I feel like that'd be
fully
funny.
Invested. And so we were watching it like pretty much live before COVID hit. And then as like once COVID hit, we actually started watching it together every single Friday. I would after work head to your place and we would watch it on a Friday night because it starts airing anywhere between 12 and 2 p.m. on Fridays
Yeah.
in Australia, depending on daylight savings. But I would just head to yours. We'd get dinner and watch it. So we have like been in the fandom and have been witnessing the reaction and the behavior of certain areas of the fandom for like 7-ish years now, up to 7 years for me at least. And we witnessed the way it changed pre-COVID to post-COVID. And
Yeah.
we don't want to spend too much of the podcast talking about it because we don't want to get crucified, and we also don't want to like spend a bunch of time on like stuff that's just like sad to think
The
about.
negativity.
It's like very negative, yeah. But there was a lot of like there was just a lot of like ship warring
Ship wars
going on, and there was a lot of people engaging in just like kind of weird like parasocial-esque behavior. There was a lot of
truly bizarre,
like fetishizing of certain characters, which got a little bit concerning, and it was a lot. And I think the problem is that when any fandom gets big enough, that's always going to increase. Like no matter what, there's always going to be that one small weirdo section of a fandom who nobody else really likes or wants to associate with, and they're unfortunately very vocal. And
yeah,
when the fandom increases, that section increases too. That's just like how it works. And the fear I've just unlocked is kind of the same fear that we've had about Yasha in terms of the campaign, which is that because they have not introduced her now and connected her with the party now, that fans are going to brush her off as not really part of the party and not really, you know, a member of the group. And I just have fear that it's going to like devalue her character in the eyes of the fandom. And that's not something that I think is an irrational fear, because it's been done before.
It's
over and over again.
There's again, don't want to spend too long on the crazy fandom negativity, but there is a really strong history of the Critical Role fandom just straight up erasing Yasha from content and discussions and conversations.
Champion of Chord, mind you, erasing her from the story.
And Yasha is so loved by the entire cast of Critical Role. Anytime she does anything, everyone's like, Yasha! Yeah. So it's crazy that not all the time. I do think it's a small part of the fandom.
Very small part, but it's just
loud.
I think it was also the perfect storm of circumstances, because like there was meta reasons that people felt like she wasn't part of the group, and it was because Ashley had a job in New York and she had to come and go from the campaign a lot. But I think they did a really good job of creating a character that makes sense for. And they made it work really, really well in the campaign itself. And obviously it can't work the same for the show. Like, the same thing happened with Pike. It's just not possible to do in an ensemble show like that. You can't... It would actually devalue Yasha as a character for the audience, because we just don't get the same amount of time and effort put into her story and her arc.
Which is why I do think once she joins them... She's staying. She's
going to have to. I think
she's going to be coming and going. And they did the same thing for Pike. Once she went off and did her own thing for a little bit in the animated show, and then she came back, and they just wrote her into stuff that she wasn't in.
The problem, I think, particularly with Critical Role at times, the fandom at times, can be that they desperately want to cling on to in-canon explanations for things. They want it to make sense in canon. That's not how it works. Even with the TV show, you are going to have to accept that there are sometimes meta reasons for things to occur. Sometimes there are meta reasons that characters are heading in a certain direction. Like, yes, there were so many people who reacted to Foresta. I don't know how to
Foresta. I don't actually know how to say that ship name.
Neither do I. But
Ford and Jester.
People reacted to that a lot, being like, "Oh, it's just because they're like married in real life." Well, yeah, that they kind of actually said that the entire time. Laura Bailey went into this campaign going, "I will romance my husband," and there is a meta reason, and that's fine, and they're allowed to do that. And I think people just need to start realizing that even if it's a show that you are consuming, and you might believe you are owed something, you're not. You are absolutely not owed anything by these people. They will tell the story
100%.
that they want to tell, and that is their right. And you can engage with it positively, or you could be a dick about it.
Yeah. Or you can do what we're doing and have thoughtful, critical, analytical conversations about it, which is something,
that they want you
I've
to
thought
do.
about a lot with the conversations around Yasha in the show. I've seen a lot of kind of not great behavior from both sides. But like at the end of the day, yes, they can tell the story however they want, but it's also okay to not like whatever decisions
it's
they've
purely what you
made.
do with
It's
it.
okay.
It's purely what you do with that dislike. It is how you behave afterwards that is constantly a problem for this fandom, I think, or for parts of this fandom.
For a lot of fandoms, actually.
Just in general, like it's kind of human nature, right? There's always going to be, like I said, there's always a group of people who are kind of just being weird and annoying in every place you be going. I don't know.
We'll be going.
But like, there is, I think, just a distinct, like, there's quite a lack of the ability to constructively criticize in Critical Role fandom specific, well, not just specifically, but because we're talking about Critical Role, we're being specific here. There's just a lack of ability to constructively criticize and discuss without taking it personally. People will get really defensive about their ship really defensive about their opinion. And they feel like people who don't agree with that opinion or don't agree with that analysis are against them or don't like them or don't agree with them in some way, shape. Not true at all. There are people that I could have very, very differing opinions with about one thing who I completely agree on for something else. And I think
for other things, absolutely.
We really need to remind ourselves that this is fiction.
It's not real. These are pixels on a screen.
It is fiction, and we can engage in it in a way where we can talk about what we don't like. We can talk about what we're worried about, because there are aspects to this that are, complicated by the fact that it exists in an original canon in a completely different form, right? Completely different medium, completely different kind of storytelling. And so obviously things are going to have to change, and we are all going to have opinions about whether we like or dislike those changes. And it's okay to dislike them as long as you are not being a dick about it. You're not making it other people's problem. You're not trying to make it Critical Role's problem, because they are allowed to make the decisions they made. And you need to just...
I think they care about what the fans think, but at the end of the day, they're going to tell the story the way they want to tell it. And that's fine.
If I can reword that section slightly in terms of criticizing Critical Role, you will get through to them a lot more if you constructively criticize instead of just get upset and whine about it. Oh, why did they do this? Why did they do that? They're going to dismiss that kind of tone immediately. But if you come at it...
No one wants to hear that.
No one does. But if you come at it like this, like if you have dislikes and you are coming at it like we are, where we go, oh, we really loved this and we really loved this and we thought this was really clever. I'm a little bit scared about what they're doing here, though. I'm concerned about the direction because I'm worried this could happen. But, I am trying to have trust at the end of the day. Nobody's going to take issue with that kind of thought process.
No, because it's human nature as well to have thoughts and fears and feelings about things. And I've had conversations with people in the fandom, and some people will get very defensive if you sort of even allude to having a criticism about something. And this is something I keep saying. It's like, we have these criticisms because we care so much about these characters and this story.
Because we love it so much.
And that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because we care about it.
And I think the problem with the defensiveness, it goes both ways, right? There are people who will not just get defensive about their people will want to criticize it because they don't like it. And then when people will attack that person for criticizing the show, and then they'll get defensive about their criticism, and then it just creates it's like a feedback loop, right?
Cycle.
It just starts to feed in on itself, and it will never end if we don't actually kind of address the problem with it, which is that, first of all, Critical Role doesn't really need you to defend them. You don't need to step in and be like, you're not allowed to criticize them because me. That's not what you need to do. Right? They're a company at the end of the day. They're a corporation. They're a production company.
Yeah.
But the person doing the criticizing in that sort of scenario also needs to be aware of their tone and what they're doing and saying, and just do so in a way that is constructive and kind. And it's like, it's free.
Yeah.
It is free for you to do that constructively and kindly.
Kindness is free.
And I just think,
everybody,
like, we as a fandom could, calm down a little in terms of like getting
I agree,
very up in arms about any given thing,
Because I will say I have seen on the other end of that spectrum some pretty nasty tweets and thoughts about the fact that they have changed Yasha's story, and I'm like, that's not cool. Like, just be kind about it. Try and be thoughtful about it.
Can I be so blunt?
It's all good. Please.
And I feel like I have to list my, put a photo of my CV right here or something to show you that I have the authority and expertise to say this. As someone who has studied, I've been studying media and communications, like actually doing a degree in media and communications for the past 5 years of my life part-time. And as just a lifelong lover of stories, I love to get into the nitty-gritty of like character motivations and stuff like that. It is one of those things where I think a lot of people who are coming, especially if they're coming at this with really harsh criticism of why did you change this? Why did you change that? You don't understand how TV works. You don't understand how media works. You don't actually properly understand how much work and how like granular the decision making would have been in how to redesign this story in a way that fits this medium. This medium, we get 45-minute animated episodes to try and tell a story that was originally told over 4-hour-long TTRPG sessions weekly. It is so intensely difficult to not just condense that story down, but rework it in a way that is appropriate for the medium of TV, animated TV specifically, because there is just so much you cannot keep. So much that you cannot keep. It's just impossible. And you can tell, I think people just need to be better at appreciating how much work Critical Role, specifically the 8 of them, the main crew of Critical Role, how much work they're putting in to adjust this to make sense for a brand new audience and a brand new medium in a way that still keeps the integral vibe and the dynamic of the party and the story. I can say I've not asked any of them personally. I haven't even read any interviews where they've said this, but just from like knowing what a creative like that is, like creatives like them are in this space, they are working unbelievably hard to keep as much of it intact as they possibly can.
Oh yeah.
But they just cannot do all of it. It's not possible.
It's not physically possible, and that's something I've thought about a lot because so far I think for me the biggest change is Yasha. Because like everything else, like yes, there's differences, but it's sort of like,
well, so far we're not actually,
you can sort of see where it's going.
We're not really in the gritty. This is something I pointed out that night of, remember? 3 episodes of this show we've gotten so far. We're not past episode 1 of the campaign.
No.
Because episode 1 of the campaign
we're not.
Is the circus.
They're in the circus.
So most of what we have seen over the past 3 episodes has been what would have been Session 0 content in the campaign. And the only reason we know anything about the Session 0 content is because the cast talked about it in interviews, in like Talks Machina or whatever. Yeah. They talked about what their Session Zeros were like. And so we know that, Beaufort and Jester connected just before the campaign started. Yeah. We know that Caleb and Not connected a little bit earlier, but still before the campaign started. And we know that Yasha and Molly had been traveling for a while together before the campaign started. Functionally, all the material we got in these 3 episodes until like basically the circus starts is Session 0 information in terms of this version of the story.
Great decision to show that. I think it's added so much to the show, and it gives existing fans something fun
to understand. Right. And I also think it like, again, it's about the meta. It's like it's the meta reasons for things to change, right? When it comes to a D&D campaign, like a TTRPG actual play series, all of their storytelling comes in exposition because it's all, in your imagination. Like, you have minis and stuff like that and art, but D&D fundamentally is like theater of the mind.
It's up in that brain.
And a lot of dialogue and exposition. That's not how you communicate in a TV show, especially an animated TV show.
No.
You have to show, not tell. Whereas D&D is all
Absolutely.
tell. It is all entirely tell and then try to imagine in your brain space. So you have to just accept things will be different. Full stop. There is no way around it.
Yep.
And I think, like,
And
it'd be way better for us to just learn how to appreciate the ways that it changes. Like, appreciate the new dynamic that it gives us. So, like, we don't know what Yasha and Molly's dynamic is going to be yet. We don't know what Yasha and Bo's dynamic is going to be yet. But it's
And
exciting that
I'm
we get something a
excited
little
to
bit
find
new.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
exciting.
that's the other thing. Because I've been thinking a lot about Yasha in general and sort of where that story, because it's the biggest question mark right now. It's like, what is going on with that? We literally have not a single clue. But it's like, as much as like maybe it would have been fun to have Yasha just there from the beginning. She's at the circus. We see her meet Molly. But maybe that, you know, at the end of the day isn't the best for her overall story. Like, maybe getting to see sort of more of where she came from and sort of that sort of stuff makes more sense to do it this way. And we don't know the long term for it either, so it's kind of hard to see ahead. But
and I
think about that as well.
I think a lot of people do just kind of react to the anxiety, right? Like, we talked about it very literally. I just said I have fear about what could be in store for Yasha.
I have much fear.
Because I worry about the ways in which it could change the dynamics that we are familiar with. However, I also trust, you know, not just the 8 main cast members of Critical Role.
I trust Ashley.
But trust Ashley, trust the 8 main cast members of Critical Role. I also just trust the company because, like, they're built from the ground up by storytellers, right? Like, I said, I think, in our reaction clips as well, where that, like, you know, the level of care and the level of focus that goes into each individual character and the ways they grow over the campaign, purely because they are player characters being controlled by one person, and that's all that person is controlling in the story, is just that one character. They have very intricate, deep, you know, woven storylines and arcs that are, like, going to be difficult to convey on screen. Because, like, you think about each, like, you know, Marisha, Liam, Ash, all of them spent like 3-4 years in these characters' heads every single week. And they do a lot of thinking, and, you know, they are focused on just that one character's motivation. It creates such an intricate storyline that they can't display in any like similar detail on an animated show. And I think
it's a difficult thing to adapt, for sure.
The best thing fandom can do, if they just want to get over themselves a little bit, in terms of, like, you know, like, not even do I think it's a bad look when Critical Role, like, when they're looking at us and thinking, why are they all beefing with each other? I just don't think it's fun for you. Like, why are you guys beefing with each other? Aren't you tired?
Yeah.
I'm exhausted, man. I'm exhausted watching you beef with each other.
I'm so tired. Yeah.
And I'm not even getting involved. I'm just tired watching it happen.
Involved. Just for the
I started posting stuff on TikTok and people were agreeing with me, so maybe I will. I've got strong opinions.
Kidding. Yeah.
But
they're good opinions. So really.
That is where we think the season's. I feel like it is going to end with them stealing the beacon, and then we go from there. But that then kind of feels like we're not going to see Yasha for most of season 1, and if we do, it's going to be her with Oba, like, very glimpsing into what she's doing, but not actually getting any real, like, substantial information. You know.
Do you want review spoilers? I don't know how else to phrase that. What do you want to know? What people have said?
Vaguely,
yeah. Do you want to go?
Yeah, vaguely.
That's not an answer.
Like, people mention Yasha enough that it's implied she is appearing in the season?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Full stop. We'll just leave it there, because, like, people don't want spoilers.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil other people too much either.
Well, okay. But I'm asking you.
Okay, just
the
say it.
people watching, just scrub ahead.
Just say
okay. So in some reviews, in a lot of reviews actually, they've said she's missing from a big portion of the season.
The season's not very long either.
Season's not very long, but and then a couple of people have also said, but like what trickles they've given us are like so intriguing that people are like,
really
I
wanna
need
know.
season 2. So
That's good.
And
They're good
someone else
storytellers. They are
said-
just straight up good
Yeah.
storytellers in how they like drag you in and make you want to know more.
yeah. And then another one I saw said something along the lines of, just because she's potentially not physically there, it doesn't mean her presence isn't felt in the story. Whatever the fuck that means or how you want to interpret that.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
it's like, it's a double-edged sword because it's like selfishly, I just want to see Yasha. I want to see her with the group, but I'm like trying to let go of this. Like, I just want to see her and think about like, well, what is actually a more interesting story?
Yeah.
It's like if we only see snippets of her and we get these little nuggets and trickles of information that leave us wanting more and sort of like wondering what happens next. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a tricky one.
I think that's what I was saying to you before as well about like they are very good storytellers. They are like, they are going to do their level best, I imagine, to keep as much intact as possible. But I, again, at the same time, am excited to see the ways in which it could change because it could hit so much harder, and we just don't know yet. We just don't know.
We don't know. We are blind
And I think
to whatever is about to happen.
people are reacting to the anxiety. Like, I addressed it head on.
Which is
you just
also valid.
Other people
I
just
will
maybe
say.
like if you guys there are I honestly I could open Twitter now and probably find someone like ranting about how much they dislike the changes and be able to
I've seen people being like, cancel the show.
and I'll be able to.
What do you mean?
And you know what? I can just be like, why don't you just address your own anxiety about, fearing that the story's going to change and accept that it's going to change a little bit.
It's going to be different no matter what.
And you know what? It's still probably going to be good and you just need to get over it.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious to see how long this series is intended to last, though, because 45-minute episodes, 8-episode seasons, theoretically, that feels like a lot of content, especially compared to The Legend of Vox Machina. But at the same time, 3 episodes in, we are barely at the end of campaign 2, episode 1. And if we're correct about theorizing where the season's going to end, which is with them stealing the beacon, that happens
like
in episode
12.
12. Right? 1 to 12. And there are 141 episodes in the campaign.
Yeah. I feel like season 1 is probably going to be more drawn out than future seasons. We know Legend of Vox Machina is getting 5 seasons. Like, that's their final season, is the 5th season. They've said that, like, this is where we're ending it. So it's not getting cancelled or anything. So with that information, they also have 12 episodes in there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shorter episodes, but there's 12.
More. But yeah, it just kind of, it's curious because they're like, there's going to be a lot of filler stuff they'll probably remove. So like, I imagine they're not going to,
no shopping episodes. Sorry,
I think they will. I really do think they will include shopping, at least shopping like moments, because it's so integral to the D&D experience.
It's so fun.
It's so integral. And they also like, they do actually end up buying a lot of the stuff they need for their like classes and stuff. Like, consider Caleb is the one who's always like, I need to go to magic shop. I need to go to magic shop. I need to go to a magic shop. I need fucking components. I need more components. And we didn't even touch on the classism stuff, bro. Oh no!
Next episode. I'm sure it'll come up in episode 4.
Next time. But yeah, the like he's always needing to go to a store to buy a book or to buy pages or to buy ink, to buy, that's kind of part of his class and his character. And they have indicated that it's going to be a thing in these episodes by the fact, that's what I was sort of saying before about the classes and thing. They've indicated that components cost money, better components cost more money, and that implies that there is a level of class needed to access magic, essentially, in this world. because Caleb can't access any of the magic he used to be able to do purely because he cannot buy those components. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
But
It's very interesting.
I'm like, the fact that they've established components are a thing means Caleb's gonna shop.
There's gonna be shopping.
You know?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they even did that in Legend of Vox Machina, and they had less time.
And like, there's also like the filler that I feel like they'll end up removing is going to be like walking to Zadash, walking to the swamp.
And we're not getting that.
Also, there's going to be like the chair. I know that the chair is going to have to make it into the series just because it became such a big thing. But a lot of those, it's going to be, I think, a lot of the moments where it's the party refusing to latch onto the main plot point that Matt has put directly in front of them.
Yeah.
Refusing to go in the direction that he's trying to make them go in. Because they're so unbelievably convinced that he's actually secretly pointing in this other direction they need to go. And it's all a big conspiracy. And no, you're lying to us. You're making us think this is important, but it's actually this thing that you haven't even designed, and we're going to go there anyway. And you just have to make stuff up.
Fucking chair.
Yeah. But like a lot of that sort of stuff where like the party just latches onto something that is definitely not a thing. And they don't need to dogleg in that direction for like 2 episodes. Like I get the feeling we are not going to see the Knolls, or if we do, it'll be very, very brief. I do love the way they bake the stuff into the show. Like it's just it's a cute, little nod to a lot of things that again could be missed by newer audiences, but are little like moments of like, hey, to the people who've seen the campaign,
Hey.
I do really enjoy that.
Yeah, it's good. They've done a fantastic job of making the show enjoyable for new fans. And I've been watching a lot of reactions from new fans because I need to live vicariously through them and their reactions to these characters and experiencing them for the first time. But also such a great job of putting stuff in there for existing fans. They've just done a great job with that, and it's just been awesome. An awesome first 3 episode run, starting off really strong. And I'm really excited to see how the rest of this unfolds because I've got theories and thoughts and feelings. But like they could all be wrong. We just don't know.
And I'm excited, and I'm also a little bit scared. And I'm also if we can go back to this point just very briefly, don't want to spend tons of time on it, but like the most fear I have, the main anxiety that appears in my body is absolutely to do with the fandom and the way that it is going to potentially get worse now that the audience is getting wider. Like we said before, we were present before COVID and watched what happened during and after COVID. And I kind of want to make it clear that that's not to say that I think new fans are the reason for this. Absolutely not. There were freaks beforehand.
It's not
absolute freaks beforehand.
Yeah.
So I could tell you stories of things that I saw on Twitter. Good God.
I don't even want to open that door, man. That was a rough
bad time.
Also, like, peak of COVID as well. I think everyone just lost their mind.
Everybody lost their crap in lockdown. Understandable.
It was a bad time to be part of any fandom, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. But like, what I kind of like, part of the reason I was also keen on doing this sort of thing was not just because we get to be nerds and we get to pull apart the media and like appreciate the storytelling and appreciate human-made art. Every single frame of that human-made.
Oh,
delicious. No slop. It was incredible. I hate my microphone.
You can tell a lot of love went into this.
So much love and care and like attention to detail, and just I do love the aspect of I just get to appreciate like a really, really awesome piece of art, a very unique piece of art in the scheme of things for the way this kind of story comes together. It being a D&D campaign turned animated series. It's cool.
Crazy when you think about it.
It's awesome. But another part of the reason I wanted to do something like this was also just, in a way, to set an example for people that you can engage with media constructively and still criticize it and still talk about, having fear about where the story might go because you love the original canon so much. You just don't need to be weird and mean about it. You don't need to be divisive, and you don't need to like beef with it. Doesn't need to be a fight. It can be a conversation.
It's a discussion, and I've had this before. I'm not gonna say where, but I've had this before where I'm like just trying to have a discussion about something with someone, and they just like they think I'm attacking them, and I'm like, hello, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to get defensive. Like, we're having a back and forth. I want to hear what you have to say. And
I think,
like,
we need to get better
it's a conversation.
We need to get better at seeing the value in learning different perspectives, even if it's just about the show. Because, like, even if it is just about a fictional narrative, there is still so much we can learn from this and pull from this, right?
Absolutely,
and that's what makes it fun to delve into, because you get to sort of think about the motivations, the way these characters grow and change, and the way that those lessons can translate to reality as well. Like that's analyzing and getting deep with media is how most people learn empathy, right? How to apply empathy, basically. And so it's a good thing. It's a really good thing to get this passionate and this deep into a narrative. It's genuinely teaching you a lot. You just don't need to get so personally wrapped up in your opinion.
Yeah.
You don't need to take criticism of something that you enjoyed about the show as a personal attack.
Because
you don't need
never a personal attack.
It never is. And just see the value in like understanding other perspectives. Oh, I really liked this part, but you said you didn't like it. Why didn't you like it? Is there something that I haven't considered yet?
I want to know, yeah.
Is there something that I missed? I'm really curious, because I can only come at this show and apply my own perspective to it. That is the case for every single one of us. You can only apply and bring your own perspective to a narrative like this. And that means we are all going to take probably something fairly unique away from it. There'll be rhyming. We'll rhyme in a lot of ways because it's, still the same narrative. But because of our life experiences and the way that we see and interpret the world, we are going to see and interpret any story differently. And you don't need to wrap your identity up in that specific interpretation to the point that it feels like anybody with a different interpretation is attacking you personally. You just don't need to. And I feel like that is one of the...
It's not about that.
Yeah, and I feel like that is, if there is one problem the Critical Role fandom has, it's that. It is taking everything... everything that is not in alignment with their opinion about something as a personal attack. It's not.
Yeah.
And we can have these constructive conversations, and it can actually be like good for the show and for us, because we will expand our understanding and our knowledge and our empathy.
Yeah. And that's something I've said to people before as well. I'm like, if you're not willing to criticize or have a critical thought about the content you're consuming, it's like, how the hell do you expect it to get better if you're not talking about it?
We have to find that perfect middle, right? It's people on the extreme ends of the spectrum, either going, it's not that deep, or getting way too wrapped up in it that they start to take anything that is against them personally. Yeah. We need to find that middle ground of, it is that deep, and we can learn a lot from it, but I don't need to take, I don't need to feel attacked by people who disagree. I don't need to feel defensive of my opinion. I just, I can be open to other perspectives and all that sort of stuff. I want to, I'm tangenting again, but that's the kind of example I wanted to set as well with this kind of thing, which is that you can get so unbelievably deep on this sort of stuff without it becoming a problem, without it being dramatic, without it being discourse.
Give a great example from myself is when I realized that they were making all these big changes to Yasha's story. My knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, I really don't like that. Why are they changing it? I just, I want to see her. I want her to be with Molly. I actually had quite a negative reaction to it at first, and it wasn't until I was talking with different people and they were sort of saying, well, what about this perspective? Or, consider that Ashley is really happy about it. And it was through talking about it and having a discussion about it, I've come to this peaceful place where I'm cautiously optimistic, but ultimately really excited to see how they've reflavored this.
you come to a place of
yeah.
understanding, and I think that's all where we want to be. It's just it's
Yeesh.
difficult. Like, we cannot all come to a place of understanding when even just some of us are taking things personally.
Yes.
I think that's a big part of the problem. Even when only a few of us are getting really up in arms and defensive about our opinion, or about like people criticizing the show, it is just, it's only going to cause more divide. If we want to come to a level of understanding, we all should be approaching things with open minds and open hearts. And that's not to say you have to change your opinion either.
No.
It just means
no.
be open to a new perspective, because it could shift your opinion, and that is actually a good thing, because the more you know about a situation, the more informed your opinion becomes, right? So like you were coming at it with I'm really, really like emotionally attached to this character, and it scares me a lot that they're going to change, the storyline, and it's going to ruin the character. That's like your instant reaction. Like, you're going to ruin
That's my instinctual reaction.
You're going to ruin it because I love it. But then you people point out, hey, like, seems like Ashley's really happy with where they went, and you're like, oh, I had not even seen those clips, or I hadn't considered that she seems really happy. That's actually it's calmed me down a lot, because Ashley is Yasha in a huge way, right?
Yeah, she is Yasha.
She is Yasha. It's her play
sense of the
character.
word.
And so your knee-jerk reaction especially coming to this show as a queer woman who has been let down time and time and time again by by popular media, you are constantly let down in terms of representation.
That's a big part of it. And I've talked to other people about this as well. It's like, that's a big facet of it. Is like, how many times have we been screwed over?
A lot.
So many times. So it's like,
queer audiences in general are just constantly screwed over. But that's one aspect to it where you think, oh, it's totally understandable for people to feel very defensive about a character in this sort of scenario, right? Obviously. But then you think about, oh, hold on, I need to pause for a second and realize that, like, even just the 3 episodes we've gotten already, they've already proven, like, in spades, that they are really, really putting queer people first, like front and center. They have made it not just in terms of the player characters, the whole universe, that this is diverse. There are very, very, very many types of people, very, very many different types of personalities and groups and all this sort of stuff. And they're doing a really good job of displaying that right up front. I mentioned when we watched it together, I mentioned in, I think, episode 2, there is some construction workers that are present when I think Caleb's chasing Knot, right? Trying to get his pouch back. And it's one of those things where it's so easily fading into the background because it passes very quickly in front of you that you may not pick up on it. But I picked up on immediately the fact that these two very, very big, burly, buff, like very muscular construction workers carrying a huge amount of wood, one of them was female and like wearing a crop top and was still very, very stocky and muscular. And that's the kind of diversity Critical Role brings, and they are already proving themselves to be champions, is the word I was thinking of. Like, they are championing queerness in a lot of ways with this show. And I think, especially because I'm pretty sure Matt may have said it in like a Talks episode or something a long time ago, but like, or it's been talked about very generally by them, I think. But this is a fantasy world. It's not our world. This is a fantasy world. There is absolutely no reason that you have to write homophobia into a fantasy world.
Absolutely.
And I think Critical Role are smart enough to realize that it is only going to hurt them to write homophobia. Even if there is a good point to be made, they don't need to make it with this show. It's been made before.
No.
And I think they are more interested in just putting forth a very diverse show. Yeah. Not just in the main cast, but in every single aspect. And that is, I think, the most important thing.
I agree, 100%.
Past any of the changes they make to the narrative, that is very important.
It's like, that's just like, and like, we know at some point Boyasha's gonna happen. They're not gonna, I saw some people being like, oh, what if they change Boyasha? I'm like, that's gonna happen. Shadowgast is going to happen. Like,
we already have. It's so unbelievably clear that Forrester is going to be the ship for Jester. Like, they've painted that very clearly already, and I think that is probably one of the things that gives me a little bit of calm when it comes to how the fandom is going to react to Yasha and her potential absence this season. So, I mean, I guess we'll see.
We'll see how it unfolds, and who knows, we could get to the end of it and be like, damn, that was really shit. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. I think they have a good grasp on, like, the reasoning behind making changes as well. Like, they're not just keeping Yasha away for the hell of it. It's like there's a very, very clearly a big narrative reason that they've made that decision, especially because Tasha, the showrunner, she was a fan of the campaign before she got hired to work on the show. So
that also just boosts
it.
my trust in, like, the changes that they're making, because they know, especially if someone's a fan of it, they know, you know, what is important about the campaign and what themes to keep intact. The thing is like, as long as the themes stay intact, the actual, you know, plot devices used to display and convey those themes don't really matter in like a huge way. They do, but they also don't. Like, we want the vibe, we want the chaotic,
the essence,
found family, you know, we keep doing the wrong thing and somehow ending up with the right, you know, with the right result kind of vibe. I really hope they kind of keep that intact mostly. But also, like, I want them to make the best decision for the show, not the fans.
Yes, which it sounds like
they are. I trust them to. So. But I'm saying that for the fans more than I'm saying it for them. I think it should be more important to everybody, regardless of what your opinion about what the show should be. I think all of us should be able to agree that we don't want them to focus on pandering to fans. We want them to just create the best story they can.
Absolutely.
In this medium that they're telling it in now.
Which is like perfect medium. And I'm just like, on my other screen, I've got my crazy mirror bot, which maybe if we get some fans...
If people actually care about what we say.
We can show off the mirror board. But it's crazy. I've just got screenshots from the show, and like every frame looks like a piece of art.
Beautiful. It honestly. Is so
like,
good.
I get like a little teary-eyed, especially in this day and age of like AI and just corporate greed. And it's like having a piece of art that's just like a bunch of creative people are making something, they really care about it and they want it to look good and awesome, is like, it's so refreshing. Because it's been a while.
Looking at something like this, watching a show like this makes me angrier about the existence of AI. It makes me like genuinely even angrier about the fact that people want to force AI to exist. No, because AI doesn't make this. AI rips this off into a far worse version of itself. And you can tell because there's no love in it anymore. There's love in this, and it is in essentially every single frame. Like,
you could press play on the show, like pause at a random time, and you're like, damn, that looks sexy, that looks beautiful. It's like colors and the music.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm breaking up.
That's all right, you're back.
I'm back.
But yeah, it's I'm very excited for the next episode. I also think it will be a lot easier to do these because we've been recording for like 2.5 hours.
And I will say there was no structure to this. We're like,
nope. So it's going to be fun.
But you know, that's your problem now.
That's fine. We'll figure it out. If you enjoy the media analysis, if you enjoy just like people picking apart the narrative and talking about what they liked and didn't like and what they liked and did not like, and theories moving forward, especially from people who have seen the whole campaign the entire way through. We watched it, like we said, together for the back half of it. We were like together in a 1-bedroom apartment in Sydney, watching that Boyasha date and upsetting the neighbours with how loud we were.
My poor neighbours. We were loud. And we have clips of that somewhere. I think we should dig it up because it would be hilarious.
We've got to find them. in the Snapchat. Yeah, I feel like I should try
we
to find it.
filmed. It
See-
wasn't Snapchat. We just straight up filmed it because we knew something was happening.
On whose
know.
phone?
I'm gonna look through my phone.
Okay, we'll have to go looking. But what we do need to do, because it's just, we know it's going to happen eventually, we will have to, we're recording our reactions anyway, because we're doing this, but the animated date, we're going to have to
That's gonna
parallel
be.
them.
That's like years
the two,
ahead.
The two reactions.
That's like. That's.
Yeah, I know, it's years away. Could be like
Well,
5 years away.
Travis
Like,
joked
it's just
about
so
it
far.
Boyasha being 5 years away. I know he was drunk and joking when he said that, but still, it's a while off.
I also, that would not surprise me if he just kind of let that slip, and that is the case, because they would probably have most of the storyline, like the big beats of the narrative, like for most of the characters plotted out.
I want inside their brains. I
on a
need
whiteboard
to see
somewhere.
It. But we'll come up with our own, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah,
this was meant to be an outro.
Guess we'll see. Yep. If you want to see more, let us know. And we're gonna be recording reactions to the episodes each week. We think the microphones didn't work for the first 3,
but
but
we'll see.
Guess we'll see if any of those make it up. But yeah, if you like this, tell us in the comment so that we have motivation to keep going.
If you guys like this, we'll make more. Well,
because like it's fun.
Yeah, I'm
just
having
to
a
do,
blast.
Right? I'm having
you
fun.
know what
just
I would be
talking
doing
about
today?
But I also
doing this? Nothing.
Nothing.
Maybe reading a book.
I'll be doing fuck shit all. But like, if as much as it's fun to just do this, and I would probably continue to do this, just even if people didn't want to see it, it is still also really, really fun to then get to hear other people's opinions. Like, because like, especially now that TikTok doesn't really have any like limit to how much you can type in a comment, people can just like drop their opinions, and we can be like, ooh.
Yeah.
And
what do you people
and
think?
if people want to comment, yeah, like we could probably feature some comments in an episode if we wanted to, like pretty easily. Like if we could say someone left a comment on a video from our last episode to be like, this is what I think, and then we can talk about it.
Please leave comments also so I can feel good about myself.
Yeah. But we'll
thank you.
Thanks.
Help, it's again.
Thanks for watching. Help, it's again. Fucking it's been a while. But I keep hovering over. I'm just ruining the footage by hovering my mouse over the Discord window.
Stop doing that. We need to wait. Should we stop here? Is that enough of an outro? Oh my god.
Yeah. I'll
bye.
find something out. Okay. Bye.